Dana, this is Rob Schneider, our good bud, who I can't believe it's taken this long. We got Rob on. He's one of our pals.
Yeah.
We've grown ups into a million other things. Orgasm guy, sensitive naked man. You remember that one?
Oh, yeah.
That's funny.
It was quirky.
So I'm going to ask you, I'm going to tell you a quick story. Do you want to hear about my Monkeys audition or my Lorne phone call or my mom's
Well, let's
feet?
start with the Monkeys audition.
Okay, that's it. I'll just do one for this intro.
Okay.
Because we got to talk about Rob.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's not all about us, which it usually is on the podcast.
Well,
I go, thanks, guest. That reminds me of a 22-minute story.
it's like a long joke. Two narcissists start a podcast.
And the guest is the whole time like Woody Allen going, if I could jump in, I had a quick question, just maybe an anecdote.
Sure. Because yes, you kind of swallow and smack your lips, because, I'm allergic to podcasting, you see, because...
Because I don't mean to be didactic or facetious, but as of this moment, I haven't said a word.
I knew
it's
a guy
been an hour 20.
who went to dinner at his house, and he said Woody had 5 Heinekens in a row and never used the bathroom, never was intoxicated. And the guy said, Woody, you've had 5 Heinekens, never used the restroom. He goes, yeah, it's my special talent.
If that's true, it's hilarious.
That's word for word true.
Okay, so I'll do this one on the next one, Monkeys audition. But this one is Rob Schneider. What can you say? He's got a career. He's got movies. He's got The Hot Chick, which had Rachel McAdams. Kind of not discovered her, but he had Anna Faris and Rachel Adams, I think.
Yeah, the thing about Rob, it was fun to revisit that he is quite a storyteller.
Yes.
And you're going to enjoy this episode because he takes his time. One of the reasons the episode went so long is because he's such a great storyteller, and he'll come at these things comprehensively, like this part, that part, and get to it, which is really nice for podcasting. So much fun. And he sings.
Oh, yeah?
He does a lot of funny little accents and stuff.
He has a million. He does so many characters and accents. Yeah.
He breaks down his catchphrase, Adam Sandler famous catchphrase.
I read for that, Dana.
For you can do it?
Yeah, I go, you can do it. I did it like too dramatic, and Adam was like, thank you, we'll let you know.
My thing, I went and read too, and I just.
What'd you do?
I went a little sexy. You can do it.
Really? And it was screaming at a football game, and that was your choice?
I just didn't read the script. I just went and go, you can do it.
I read the script. It's fine. That's great.
It's great, Carvey, but next time.
Next time, maybe skim just a page of the script when it says stadium full of people.
No, I did not read for You Could Do It, but Rob, he's the only one who could do it. Copy Machine, we go through that. It's great. Massive Head When Harry and Il Cantore, we break down those, which I
big news, which I shouldn't say. Did he write fucking Massive Head When Harry?
It was his. I'm
That's
sure,
unreal.
it's then people could chime in, but it was Rob's, and he will tell you
I thought it was handy.
Stories about what happened at the end of Massive Head When Harry, because what happened was a little incendiary involving an animal, and there was a method to the madness. Yes. How's that for a tease? I'm teasing more now.
And this one's a two-parter, and or as I call it, a two-farter. No, I don't. Actually, I don't say that.
This is great you're in here. These are just really fun because I can get a sense of you, like if
usually
something's wrong or you're bored or you're suppressing a yawn.
Your eyes darting.
That face that says, why did I say yes?
No, can we start it?
It's going. Okay. We're already going. We're already halfway done.
Oh, boy.
Wait, can I use
We're almost done. One last question for Rob.
I got to go to the bathroom. I'll be back in an hour.
I'll deal with this guy. There's one down here, dude.
So many thoughts were flying through my head.
Go to bathroom 38. It's straight across.
So many thoughts were flying through my head.
You just have to field questions. It's easier.
On the way here. I'll wait for Dana to come back, but
Hurry, Dana.
No, the thing about you, David, was you were unlike me. I would go to life and there was a very Asian thing, very Chinese thing. When I did a movie with Jean-Claude Van Damme in China. It was a different thing, and this is going to come back to you eventually. But what happened was, if there was in the Western world, if there is a problem, you look at it and go, okay, well, these are the tools that we need. This is how long it's going to take, and these are the amount of people we're going to get. Now, in China, it was the exact opposite. They'd run to a place with the people that they had, figured out what the problem was there, and use the tools that they could. So it was, in other words, it was like a lot of things blowing up on set, and like, the generator or whatever getting rained on and blowing up. And so, but you figured out things quicker. Like, for instance, like when I first met David at an acting class here in town,
that's right.
You kind of figured out where the good-looking girls, who the good-looking girls were,
where we were headed.
and then you also had, like, instead of, like, when I moved down here, I moved into like a dump. And then, like, you buy like the one piece of furniture, and then I went to your house, and you had a scam worked out way ahead of time, which is like you moved in with a really good-looking older woman. You just rented a room in her house, and the place was tricked out already.
Oh, right, she already
had a beautiful couch. She had like, first of all, a couch was like a big deal to me.
Yeah,
nice. And then she had stuff on the walls. She had nothing on the walls. She had a refrigerator, and you just worked out this delicate situation with her. And I was like, holy shit, I would have never figured that out.
I was looking at the paper.
That's our David.
I was looking at the paper for places to live, and on my own, I couldn't click and get one, and it was too expensive. And then hers was $400, but she already had a 2-bedroom. So I just went and met random people.
Yeah.
And then it was in Toluca Lake, and it had a room. She had the big room, and she had the whole place beautifully done. I would just walk in, skim through the kitchen. You could keep stuff in the fridge. She was very nice. And just go in my room. So that's all I needed. I had a room with a bed and then a little desk and then a TV in the corner so I could write, pick up the phone, hear your messages, and then sleep. So that's all I needed. And it really...
But she was also a very attractive
that was random.
older woman. And when I say older, I mean she was
point,
30, which was like,
was
for
30.
us,
that
was like
And
a
really
crazy old girl.
It was like Mrs. Robinson. Yeah, and I never even
and
flirted
how
with
did
her.
he figure this out?
But she was
Spade
too
on.
out of my league, too pretty. She was an actress, and she was 5 years older than us, 6 years, 7 years older.
Yeah, which is
which is huge, and
big jump.
it was weird to talk to girls our age. We had no confidence back then, and we were just like, and she was so great. But then I think the day I left, she's like, oh, we never dated.
Wow.
And I was like, you could have said something. I stayed there 11 years.
Well, you know what?
I stayed there all during SNL.
Mary Lou Henner, who we're talking about, said to me, "Can I set the scene for 30 seconds?"
Sure.
I do this for the audience.
Yeah.
So this is a trifecta of people who've known each other for a long time.
Yeah.
We'll talk about Rob and I doing stand up in San Francisco in the early days for him. He was like at 8th grade. I don't know, but he was always great. And then how I intersected with you at Neal's, what we said in the podcast. And then you two hooking up. Dennis Miller gets in there. Next thing you know, I get on SNL. And then here come Schneider and Spade. I just wanted to set the table that we've known each other a long time.
Yeah, there was a thing, but because we were on, I want to get to the Dana track of it all. I'm going to interview you guys. But you had a way of figuring things out. And then one thing, because I've been listening to the podcast, was the psychological makeup that for people for comedians who get on SNL. And like, I've been like
Interesting.
deep into this kind of, well, I would call it like emotional damaged people. And
Sure.
like I consider
Pretty
myself there.
accurate.
It's like, no, it was like, it's got to be one parent who's missing, unavailable, either physically or emotionally. And another one trying to make up for it, who's also got a problems because she's with somebody who's emotionally and physically not available. And so that was the kind of the click.
Wow, that was mine exactly.
So, there is something about that, like, who's not there. And it's just depending on who, like, and then that other parent tries to make up for it and can never completely. But at the same time, like, also the youngest person in the family, there's the thing about the youth. Or, sometimes it's an older one who felt like they had to clean up for everybody else in the family. It was a weird thing, though, where, like, there was missing something, so you felt like you had to go out in the world and try to get it.
So gross, but pretty accurate.
What about and then that begets resiliency. If you have dysfunctional parents, you become the adult in a way. And then show business, which is an emotionally violent sport. Because I want to ask you guys, like, you bomb that night or a SNL person's there and you don't do well. You just go through a landfill, and then it's a Darwinian thing. Like, who survives the Game of Thrones of early stand-up?
How do you not give up?
Makes friends. Other people up the food chain recognize, in your case, your guys stood out from all the young comedians on a tier below me, and for your writing and everything else. And like, how did you deal, Rob? So how did you fight through this, or were you how did you get on Saturday Night?
I think it was a combination of extremely vulnerable and extremely hypersensitive. I remember when I was in second grade, because my mom's was Filipino. She just recently passed away. Asian and a really tough war survivor, and she was and I've through therapy through Dr. Gabor Mate, who's an amazing Hungarian therapist. He's like, it's like he would call it generational trauma. In other words, that's passed on to you. I didn't even realize about this. So but we would eat weird things, and my friends wouldn't come over to the house twice. You know what I'm saying? Once you see somebody's mom sucking the eyes out of a fish and crunching it in front of them, they don't come back for that second meal. So that's it. So that's the and so.
What happened to
that's
fish
the way
sticks?
I grew up. So there would be you go to your other friends. There weren't like heads. You don't go to a place and there's the head of a fish
I like
there, or the head of the shrimp and stuff. But I loved that. But it was embarrassing
because you were taught to love it, and you didn't even know what you were eating.
Is it okay for you right now to do your mom explaining that to your friends?
It is. Now I
how
can.
She
but
sounded.
I'm in my feed, but see what? And it was this. It's very harsh.
That's what I was
Robert,
doing. His mom.
It was literally like my whole childhood.
Okay.
Robert. It was just literally like just if not physically, emotionally, kind of jumping back. But I remember being in second grade. Being at the tide pools, because that's what you do if you're a California kid.
Yeah,
they don't take you to the zoo. It's cheaper to just go to like the ocean and see if there's anything over there.
Pacifica, in Northern California.
So we went to the tide pool, and then I remember picking up one of these things that we would eat. It would be an Asian thing, like a little clam or something. And I said, "This smells good." And I remember the teachers saying, "Ew, Robert, that's disgusting. Put it down." And that's when I realized. I said, at 7 years old, I said, "I am way more sensitive than any of the other kids in my class, and that's my weakness."
Yeah.
And I knew that right then. And that was, and then it took 20 years to realize, well, that's also your strength. So it's a combination of the two things: extreme sensitivity, but also and my parents were like, it was like being raised by 12-year-olds. My mother first, because that was when her trauma happened when, in the Philippines, when the Japanese came over and both her brothers were murdered by the Japanese. And so that trauma from that time, whenever she had problems, she would revert to that because that was her survival mechanism. So when she was mad at my dad, I remember coming home and seeing every glass, every plate in the whole house that she could reach on the floor broken. And my brother would just go, "Hey, you got to wear your shoes today in the house." There was another Asian.
And how old were you at that point when you see the broken glass? You were like 6, 7, 8?
Yeah, like young. Like
really an impressionable time.
Impressionable.
That does never get, the childhood fucks with you.
And you laugh at it. And then the dad would come home, Marvin would come home, the mature guy would come home, and he would everything my mom couldn't reach, he'd break. And so we'd come home and
even
you'd
it
see
out?
nothing but broken stuff. And it's like, this is normal. Didn't happen every day, but there was that was representative of like, whoa. There's a landmine here. So, but it did make you tough. And I remember going back to stand-up.
Yeah.
I just remember the sensation of bombing. And I said, okay, this has to be instructional. And that's the kind of thing of being tough.
And this is you in high school, right? When you started
stand-up.
stand-up. Okay.
Bombing, because it's like, David, you can relate to this too. It's like when you're performing and you're not an adult, people are concerned about you. You're being in a club, there's alcohol there. They're not relaxed, and they have to be relaxed to watch and
sure.
And so I just remember eating it so hard one time, bombing on stage, the physical feeling of it. And I said, okay, remember what this is. As I was walking off stage, the only thing I can describe it as, it felt like my ears were melting off of my head.
Yeah, sometimes when I get off, when it's such a bomb, it feels like the Hurt Locker where a bomb goes off. She's like, "Ee!" And everyone's talking to me. You can't see their mouth. You're just walking off going, because you're thinking of so many things. What went wrong? What was going on? And how everyone's repelled from you because you bombed and they don't want to be near you. But I didn't quit. And I was saying it was like Officer and a Gentleman. I got nowhere else to go. I didn't have any other plan. Once I started doing stand-up, I quit school. And then I go, I have to keep doing this because I'm not good at anything.
But it's instructional, though, because at the same time, what I didn't realize, and now as I realize, through years of therapy. Like I feel like I'm Charles Grodin. Charles Grodin would
By
talk
the way,
to you.
when did you start?
I'm
Started
stealing
in
your
15.
therapy because I
therapy at 15.
No. 15 therapy. Oh God, on and off for years, but the last few
Okay.
years, pretty good.
All right, so go back. You said Charles Grodin.
Charles Grodin would be, when you talk to him, he talked to you like, he said, he basically treated everybody like they were just getting out of drug rehab, you know? So every conversation, every word was kind of like this, you know? So very gentle so that everybody, and it's just, it's too much, you know? But
When did you talk with Charles Grodin? Sorry, just
Charles Grodin. Well, remember he had a talk show. There
you went on
MSNBC, one of those.
Yeah.
And he had one of those guys.
He was like a
He said,
therapist.
this is too much therapy.
Phyllis Diller is here.
you
I
know
knew
when
him for a while on
But
SNL.
the idea of it, though, is instructional now that I think about it, because you do have to melt away the ego. You have to kind of start from zero to do stand-up. To risk yourself, to risk humiliation, you got to let go of that ego and this stuff. And then
I'm
you
sure
start
we
to
all didn't
slowly
have
build
much
up.
ego though.
Huh?
We all didn't have much ego then. I mean, it was more like I didn't think I was a good stand-up. I was trying to be a good one, and I was sort of all broken down into the bits anyway. So any elevation we got to, there was a point when Rob and I were pretty much, from Dave Becky, the guys that booked like the improv and stuff, were pretty much two of the best middles out there, getting I think 1,000 each. That was a lot for 7 shows.
they don't
For a
get that
week.
now. Yeah,
Yeah,
they'd fly you somewhere.
Yeah,
and
give
they
you
put
like
you in the
1,000.
condo, the
We got
comedian's
that-
condo.
they got
And he was
1,000
like,
for the week.
they'd pay you as much as $1,250 or $1,500 a weekend.
Wait, what?
Which was crazy.
You got I think I capped out at 1,000, and that's when we got SNL because we were friendly. We were friendly with Drake Sather. We knew maybe Apatow, Sandler. There were some guys in the Valley doing the Valley Improv, and then when we got
We never had
SNL,
more. We never were good headliners, but we were monster middles.
Yeah, we didn't realize how hard
You both open for me. I'll say at the end of the podcast who was the hardest guy to follow. We actually have a cliffhanger. I'm going to say. I always want a second go back to the ego thing because I think that's really interesting. Did you guys have a sense, even if it was here and there, like a sneaky ego, or kind of like, I think I might be able to do this. Like maybe you were the funny guy in 7th grade, or you did a book report and they laughed. So
That's the problem.
you might have had a little bit of a sneaky ego of like, I think I can do this.
This is one thing I would respectfully disagree with you on that, David.
Yeah,
it's gigantic ego, it's fragile, and extreme sensitivity, extreme vulnerability, and that combination is show business.
Such a horror show.
It is because what it is. But what happens is once you have that monster thing that happened, like for me, it was in high school, where all of a sudden I was the funny guy, and then everything changed. Like girls who would never look at me, and then that was it. That's my end. So that was the one kernel that would keep you going because you said, this can really work. I know I can do this. I murder with my friends. And so that combination of that, and then so when you're bombing and stuff, you go, this could work. This could work.
right? And but you're not with your friends anymore, and that's the way people say I'm the funniest guy at my office. When you go to a stage where
Hard to
no one
explain
knows,
that to the audience, though. Seriously.
Well, I think it's part of the charisma, and I think with you guys too, it's sort of like that likability comes from the vulnerability. But get out of the way, I'm the shit. You know, it's like Elvis Presley, which you played in Hawaii. or
Elvis
something.
in Japan.
Yeah.
Well, I want to get to that in a second. But I do think the charisma, because there were alpha male comics that were like bludgeoning the audience and killing with just sort of
Energy and
loudness, crowd work and stuff. And they didn't go as far as the sensitive guys who also could be strong. And also you guys are both great writers. We'll get to that later. I hate to say that, but you really were.
we're getting to nothing now.
Thank you.
Everything's later.
You have to recognize to be
Stay tuned
successful.
for part 2.
I did recognize that when I was doing stand up, and you would have a couple of good moments or whatever, some joke, but then you see people who. And I didn't have the confidence, and sometimes you kind of get a little of it. But then you see people who are really confident and not talented.
Yeah,
you had to recognize,
that's
and I didn't
infuriating.
understand that.
Yeah.
That didn't make sense to me. It's like, why is that guy confident?
And they're headliners, and you're like, this
Confident
sucks.
but not talented.
Yeah. So and you had to recognize, okay, what's the difference? How am I going to make it? You walk into a place in 1982, 83.
Yeah.
There's 30 comics and go, but I did recognize. Just that was part of the strength that I did get from my my violent mother was like, how are you going to make it? How am I going to make it? And these guys probably aren't. What's going to be the difference?
Yeah.
And I would make that thought.
Yeah.
You know,
And I go,
Dana,
I got to work hard on these guys, and also I got to get rid of anything in my act that they're talking about.
Yeah, that's the hard part. The more stuff you have, a side note, about yourself, least likely it's going to bump with someone else. Because when I go up and the guy, and I'm like a middle and the headliner goes, "You're going before me?" Yeah. And he goes, "Okay, don't do anything about Jeopardy, Wheel of Fortune, driving." And I go, "That's my fucking whole act." So I'm not allowed to do it because it bumps with his, which is something that happens. The other switch for me and Rob is jumping ahead. After SNL, we could headline, and we weren't quite ready. And the biggest thing about headlining for me that was harder was A, following a good middle like a Rob, and then B, the checks going out. The people at home don't know that when you're doing an hour set or even 45, around 25 or 30 minutes, the checks go down, and that means everyone needs to pay so they can get them out.
Oh, they're doing math.
And everyone stops laughing. Yeah. They just go look at their check and go, "Hey, who had 2 Cokes? Did you have the curly fries?
What's 10% of 179?
What's 3% of?" And then everyone's like talking, and then you go, "Wait, that joke usually kills it." And people never warn me, "Oh, the checks go out right about then." And there's some comics that say, "Don't put the checks out until I'm off," which is,
I don't mind
it
anymore.
fucks the waiters over because, I never say that because if you can get through that hump, then you're good again. Because
if you're killing.
When you hit that hole and you go, "Oh no, the checks went out my head." I see someone like slow motion going, "Oh, let me get my Visa." I go, "Oh my God, everyone's getting them right now and no one's listening." And then you got to bring them back for your closer. You got to somehow keep them around.
It's
I
warfare.
got out of stand-up for 20 years because of that. Because I respected the art form too much to do it. If you're not doing it all the time, and I didn't want to eat it and blah, blah, blah. And I did, I said, if I'm going to do this, I got to do it full time.
And when people pay, you don't want to rip them off by doing like a half-ass.
I don't want to do a celebrity victory lap. So I had to jump back into it hard, and I did. And it's been now I'm ready to get out of it again.
The name of my tour is Celebrity Victory Lap, so I feel so stupid.
What happens is, so you guys are just middles. So you have like a 30 when you got on
20,
SNL.
let's be honest.
Okay,
Let's be honest.
I'm trying to be generous. I'm a nice guy.
25.
Okay, you had 15. You had 10
Solid
good minutes
15.
anyway, and some filler. So then you get on SNL and you become the bad boys of comedy, and you both have this great run in the 90s on SNL.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden you're being offered, can you go do an hour at a college for like 20 grand or 15 grand? But you don't have it. So I
broke. At a certain point, I stopped doing stand-up. I remember where it was. It's 1992. It's 4,000 people in Milwaukee. And I said,
you're famous now.
Now I'm famous.
Yeah.
And I never had the thing where people are paying to see you before and they're yelling out stuff that they're
making
yelling
copies.
Yeah, it's during the day. It's during the day.
During the
It's also
day,
so they're
gross.
sober. They're not. Well, this is Milwaukee, so they're drinking during the day. They're all so. And then they do. You do the show. And I stumbled and I got through it and it was I gritted it out. And then there's 2 shows that day because they're paying you a lot of money. There's two shows. And then I walk out there and I look and I go, the most frightening thing is it's the same.
No.
Oh.
No.
And I got to do it again.
The same crowd.
I can't pull it off.
Grotesque.
What did you do? I can't go on?
I mentally broke. And I got
start crying.
It's like a nightmare.
No, but it's from doing stand up so much times, when you're having the middle of a set that ain't the best one.
Oh yeah.
And you get through it because you're you can go into that robot mode. And I remember talking to it's a weird thing because in show business you show up at a place and you're like this too, Dana. You just what experience can I get out of this particular situation? And I do that. So I was on some show, I forget if it was Leno or Letterman or one of those things, and there's this Asian violinist. She's famous. I'm sorry, I forget her name now. But I said, "How many days a year do you feel on?" And she said, "Well, I work 250 dates a year." I said, "How many of those dates would you guess she felt at the top of her game?"
Good question.
Do you know how many she said?
I'm going to say 2.
Yeah.
I got it.
Shut up. I was going to say 240.
She said 2? Ding, 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 ding,
Wow,
ding.
because then
David?
you know exactly that the little tiny thing is because when first of all, Dana was the guy in San Francisco. There's 2 guys that were so talented that Hollywood came up. There was Robin Williams and Dana Carvey who were so talented. You don't mind me saying, it's just a fact. You were famous before you were famous. They were so talented that Hollywood started coming up looking for. Well, it's got to be. They're
going
making
up
them
there
up here
to get them. Yeah.
Look, there's more, but okay, I guess we'll take that guy. And it was just
right, it's comedy
I was
town
the
now.
third tier of those guys. Well, all right. Well, then
Bobcat
he's
was
young
up
enough.
there.
Maybe he'll turn this on. But Dana would have lines
Tom
around
Kenny.
the block. And, performing for open mics, you don't really get that audience. You can't really tell if your material kills or not, whatever. But When you're open for Dana Carvey, you have a chance to have a real audience who's there for comedy.
Good comedy
who's
crowd.
excited about comedy. Dana used to, part of his act, he used to be able to do stuff about people waiting in line for his next show. And then that was some of the funniest stuff in the show. Because it was like at the other cafe, there was like an open
window.
An open
you could see them through the window?
You see them waiting to come in.
And other comedians, we would just sit in the back and just watch and go like, okay. I said, well, we're good, but we can't do that.
Yeah.
Well, I had the same thing with Robin. I just kept thinking I got to get better. Every time he'd come up and
good
levitate
to
the
have
Holy
that.
City Zoo. And I was starting in college. So by the time you saw me, Rob, I had gotten, other cafe opened in 79. And that's sort of where I started to develop. The first time I did a character for 30 seconds that wasn't me, I was terrified. So by the time that club really, really saved me. Because, you play the honky-tonk bars, the cowboy bars with the blender going, and your act gets bluer and louder. But that was it was a 60-seater, old hippies in
They
there.
rewarded you.
70?
It's the difference
No wonder
between
you
like
could sell it
liberals
out.
in San Francisco in the 60s and 70s, which are like question authority.
Yeah.
And and they'd go with you. And if you were taking more artistic license, and sometimes like Grace Slick would be in the audience, you'd have like, it was like, there were these cool, kind of what I loved about San Francisco
Poetry
was the
vibes.
bohemian vibe.
Yes.
And which was artistic, and we're supporting you like those, the great, Ferlinghetti and the City Lights bookstore. It was a place you go. They printed their own books. So San Francisco had that vibe at that time. It still had it.
It was eclectic, cool neighborhood.
And now it's gone. But that was a really, now it's
Have you been to the Gun Down Saloon there? It's not bad.
Last day.
Good stand up there.
But that was a place where they did reward you for going further.
Topical.
And,
Yes.
and would go, and then, so that was the perfect place.
Yeah.
For that, you really did get a chance to see, and you were like, you were levitating on stage. It was just, you were floating, and then the characters that you would do, you'd pummel an audience. They were literally exhausted leaving.
Rape and pillage.
Jeez Louise, I'm loving this podcast. We should take our time. Let's not make this a rushy one.
Let's
no, it's
talk
very nice, Rob.
about-
But when you appeared, because I want to throw out some names because it's nostalgic. So Rob and I came up from the San Francisco comedy scene, which so
And the comedy, let me just interrupt for 1 second. And the comedy, the big thing back then was, if you were a comic then, was the San Francisco comedy competition.
Oh, yeah,
yes.
And
huge.
you didn't want to win it, but you wanted to get top 5.
What was the
Yes.
newspaper
But
called?
Dana would do this thing, and he told me this. Dana gave me nuggets, which I held to this day, and it really was. And he used to drive to I'll never forget this, when you drove to the comedy competition, because that was a lot of pressure, and the talent scouts were coming, and it was a big effing deal. Robin Williams, that was
around,
and this was the time where it was big. You would perform with like 1,500 people. It was that big.
and
The
you go
competition.
through weeks of rounds to get to the finals.
And then and you would, and he told me that Dana said that on the way to the place he would listen to the Beatles. It's getting better all the time.
That's true. Yeah.
A little better.
What a weirdo.
better.
Isn't that kind of cool? It's a little sexy.
Because and Dana would say things like this: "I need to feel funny before I go on stage." No one told me that. He had to feel silly. He got himself in the place. So there was a methodology. We didn't just do it. Because sometimes you just see the after effect. Like we didn't see the college years and working your way up and watching Rob and having to follow Rob. And we just saw, the audience just sees what they see. So, but
Right
to
when you walk
learn
out.
the craft and to learn at the high level that you were at, and just as a young man watching it, it's like, okay, that's how you do this. That was very instructional.
And it prepares you for SNL in a way. I mean, there's people who came up through Groundlings and stuff, which kind of take their sketch and put it on. Stand-up is so rough and tumble. You have to be so tough that on SNL, all you're trying to do, and it took me, I think, 80 shows, just to quiet that voice in the back of your head saying, this isn't going well. I missed that line. Oh, I dropped that.
Dress was
I
better.
didn't commit like I did at Dress. And so I wonder where you came in and when you felt like you got in the groove with SNL. Like, were you out of the box or 40 shows
We
in?
did 4 shows in the 89-90 season. They brought us in, which was like, it was wonderfully, it was just amazing to just be there. You were like somebody, Bernie Brillstein, who was,
talent manager extraordinaire. Went to the
and he was
stars.
also, but he would also give you to look.
Yeah.
One is gonna not let you. One, you're gonna have to wait, and that's part of it. Is you wait, so it lets you know that you are less important, but not in a bad way. But it's like you gotta know that the blah blah blah.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
And so you.
So this is a famous talent manager.
By the way, also,
managed Belushi and
Belushi,
Aykroyd telling you this.
and Lorne.
listen
And Lorne.
and
all-
Lorne.
yeah.
So the thing about it was like, I mean,
ridiculous.
It actually
Lorne
Lorne.
managed everybody.
His whole Lorne Michaels, a famous comedy and legend who launches careers, would also have his system make it a little easier. So he would rather just, if you were in the Brillstein camp, that was like minor league ball until you get a chance to get in there. But I remember like the night that we auditioned at the Improv, and by that time I was hardened and I was ready to go, and I had a monster set to do because I had a monster. I remember because Jay Leno, Bob Fisher, our old
Bob
manager,
Fisher was another talent manager in the San Francisco scene.
who could identify talent. So you're going to make it, and I'm never wrong. It's just nice to hear that.
Wow.
That's nice to hear.
Yeah.
Did you have a surefire when you auditioned?
Did
Like
I, what?
a bit
Yeah.
that kind of always
Elvis
killed?
on a fish hook?
Yeah. So I
Could
had
you share
I had
that
my
with
stuff.
our listeners?
I had stuff.
I'll give you one of his.
Okay. Well, let's
Go ahead, Rob.
Elvis on a fish
Well, it's
hook
like
or
it's
Dave?
like
That's a visual.
God, I forget the exact thing, but it was a thing where you could act it out, where
Right.
you did
Oh,
an
visual.
impression
Okay.
and could act it out, and it was an interesting idea.
because you did a
interesting
really
enough
good
idea.
Elvis.
Yeah, so I did I was Elvis is when I first I was always into Monty Python, and by the time Saturday Night Live came in, it was over. I was into it. Cheech and Chong, it was over with. I was in this for life. And but the thing that for performing, the guy that I was turned on by most as a performer was Elvis, just because of
Such a stud.
the album 100 million fans can't
be wrong.
Yeah.
Unreal.
It's like, well, that's true.
It's
They
unreal.
can't.
No.
That's
Great
like
album title.
an entire
Undeniable.
population of Western culture,
use
of
that.
Western society. And so, and then his performance and his everything. He had
Everything.
this.
And you played Tiny
Love
Elvis.
Oh, you played
on
Tiny
tour,
Elvis.
right?
So I would literally just sing Elvis songs and try to get his moves and stuff. And
Can you? I know
Good as you
you're
win,
kind
it's
of
me and
shy.
Tiny
Elvis.
Give me a little bit. Get on the mic.
Hold me close, hold me tight, make me thrill with delight. Let me know where I stand from the start. I want you, I need you, I love you. Well, and then he would do this.
Oh my God.
Ha, 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 ha. He would, so he was just like
Killer.
He dug deep for that. That was a
would-
gem.
That
Would
was
lose their, I mean, and
They go crazy.
They would go nuts.
They go crazy when you would sing. You did Now or Never. I remember watching.
And I did that at high school, and after practice, and then it just murdered so hard
Oh, yeah.
that I was like, that was it.
Can I say one thing right here? You kind of around in here, you look like Elvis. You have a little bit of an
little
Elvis
bit, yeah.
There's a
overlap
little
with
bit
your
of
cheeks
something.
Yeah.
and your mouth.
Thank you. It's a little something that kind of worked. So when I
Yeah.
put the fake sideburns on and I had the jumpsuit on, even at 115 pounds, my wrestling weight,
And they called you Tiny Elvis?
and they go, "It's Tiny Elvis."
When you went- but
and
you
then I
went
did
to-
it, and it murdered because people. It was a really good performance. The difference is a really good impression performed really well. Seriously,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That commitment to it. It's just like when Napoleon Dynamite. That dance he does is really funny, but he's really committing to it, and it's really
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
So that's the combination of stuff, and then it just naturally. If you're naturally funny, then people are like laughing at
But
it.
when you went to Japan to do Elvis for a couple of
That
months,
was a complete.
But were you playing? You were playing a serious Elvis. Were you adding jokes?
I wasn't.
or-
I mean, first of all, I got the phone call, and that's the time I was living in an apartment.
is unreal.
$200 a month.
great.
$200 a month. Basically, what happened
That's
was
it?
I was living in a place and it was just a hole in the wall. But what happened was Milt Abel, the comedian from San Francisco.
I wrote his name down. I wrote down Milt Abel because I
Great
wanted to give
guy.
some props to our...
and he's an awesome guy, really good
Pitta.
comedian. He had jokes that I remember to this day. Like, somebody tries to hand you a flyer and they go, "No, you throw it away." And it's just that little good
Yeah,
little
yeah.
one liner. I wish I would have thought of
great
that.
comic.
And
Yeah.
so I moved into this place. He said, "It's $200 a month, blah, blah, blah." The first month I was in there, the 85-year-old Russian landlord who owned the place. He said, "Should I not?" And then I had one bulb.
Can we hear the landlord?
That's going to be funny
This
already.
is the old guy who owns the place and he lives there, and it's a shithole. The whole place is like been painted once in the
Shithole is
50s.
my
But I don't
greatest
need it. I just literally put a mattress in there, just the one mattress, and then this is it. And I'm just going to do stand up and write coffee. He was right down the street from Fillmore, his coffee shop. This is perfect. So I paid it. He said only takes cash. So $200, perfect. And then I remember like I only had one light, and it was like a 30-foot ceiling. Because you know what those old places are subdivided, and there used to be an old giant Victorian in the day, and then they turn it into like 13 apartments or whatever.
Yeah.
And so the one bulb that was at the ceiling, the one light that I had, I didn't even have a lamp. It went out. And I was like, well, I got to have that. I have my one light.
You need a light. Yeah.
I got to have a light. So I don't know where to go. And Milt's asleep. And I said, well, I knock on the guy's door, the landlord. And I go, well, the lights out. What do I do? Okay, I'm going to have to go down and get the ladder. I got downstairs to get the ladder. I'm coming up. And then he came up, and he just, I'm just this dummy because it's like, I'm watching and then I realized I'm watching an 85-year-old man on a 20-foot ladder climbing up to change a light bulb, and I was like, and I'm watching, and then I thought, well, he's already up there. Let him just get it.
Now.
He knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
I mean,
you can spot him.
And he comes down and said, I don't feel so good. I don't feel good.
Mm-hmm.
I've never felt like this. And I'm like,
really?
I said, well, I don't know what to tell you. He's a week later, he's dead.
Oh my God.
Died a week later. And the thing was, though, that he had no living relatives and anything, and so nobody was asking for rent. So all of a sudden, I went from $200 a month to nothing.
To zero.
I had nothing. So I was living in a place for rent-free.
Did you push him off your floor at all?
I think I may changing the light may have killed him. I don't know, but I did realize I should not have an 85-year-old guy changing the bulb.
It's weekend at
But anyway,
Bernie's.
so
Okay, the landlord dies. And how does this lead to Japan?
Yeah.
so what happened was I get a phone call from
Another funny voice.
Mark. Mark. This Mark,
Funny voice
the
McGee.
Filipino community, whether you're half Filipino or whatever,
Right.
there's a small community of people, and they try to because they know that the Filipinos, they'll work hard and they'll show up because otherwise you've been
Great nurses.
You do
Yes.
work hard.
Great
They'll
nurses.
beat the shit out of you. It's been beat into you. You better work hard. You better show up. If you say this, you got to do this. And all right. And so you can depend on Filipinos. Like at the end of the day, like if you do get a Filipino to come over to your house while you're moving, they'll move till they're all day.
Great.
And if you have somebody like they'll take your blood pressure. They'll do the whole
mark
thing.
that down.
So I get a call from him, and he says, "Hey, listen." You do Elvis, right? And it's like he's calling me at 9 a.m, which
Some
I just went to sleep at
middleman.
like 4.
You do Elvis,
You,
right?
you sing Elvis, right? He said,
good.
He saw me do the Elvis. He knew about it in high school. And so I said, yeah. He said, do you know the song? I said, I know a couple, like 3. So why? He said, well, we just lost our Elvis impersonator. And I said, what do you mean you lost your? Well, they're in Japan. They were sending a band for a new club that's opening. And he said, can you go to Japan to do Elvis? And I said, listen, I only know like 3 songs, and I don't really. It's not really serious, And I don't really.
You sound like him.
So I called Bob Fisher, and Bob says, "Do it. You'll tell the story on Letterman one day." And so, I called Mark, and I realized I don't even have a passport. I've never I think I left the country when I was a little like 13 with my parents.
I wouldn't
One
have
of those
one.
cheapy European tours where you go on a bus and they take you to the worst hotels in all of Europe. So that was it. So I had to I said, I don't have a passport. I can't go.
Can you use the dead Russian landlord's passport? I'm just saying, in a drawer, I think, where's this going?
So
Okay.
he said, just go to this Japanese woman. She said, just go to Japantown, and she'll take care of they can take care of it. The Japanese, if they want to get something done, they get it done. So
How are the Irish?
They conquered. They basically took all of Asia in a month, and so they'll do this. So I go over there, and she looks at me, and she goes, his name wasn't Mark. It was Alex. I'm sorry, Alex Howergy was his name. She looked at me when I walked in. She with a fright in her eyes, and like, oh no, I never trust Alex again.
Because you're the Elvis?
Because it's like I become this short guy coming to be an Elvis, And
But you had puffy hair. You had like Elvis.
Yeah, so and I said to her right there, again, my stand-up experience after doing it for a couple of years, I said, no, I can do this. I'd be all right. I can do it. And they had no alternative. They had nobody
it's like
else.
A movie.
And so literally it's like a Friday, and I got to fly Sunday to do this for the next week. And so the next thing I go, I'll just do it. It'll be fun. And I get on the plane and I start going over these songs and stuff, and we're like, I don't really know this. And
It's
then
now or never.
Alex is like, hey, listen, just where you're going, Kumamoto is like the Alabama of Japan. They don't speak English. Just do the same verse over and over again. They're not going to know the difference. So I said, all right, I'll just do that. But then I realized, no, you can't just do that. These are Elvis fans. Even if they don't speak English, they're going to know.
Teleprompter, cue cards.
Yeah, this is way before any of that stuff for me. So anyway, on the way over there, I start getting a little bit nervous about it. And I go, I'm sure it'll be fine. What the big deal? It's just Japan. And like, what? I'm never going to come back to this place. I land there. There's a bus that picks us up, a bus with posters all over the bus that says Elvis New Kennedy House, anything Japanese, like anything that Japanese loved any American words like Kennedy, Elvis, Nixon, whatever they had. Nixon, Elvis,
Barry
Kennedy House. So Goldwater. So then we get on the bus and they drive us straight to go see the Kazu guy, which is like a mobster guy, and he looks at me too.
Kaza guy?
Kazu, or what? It's a Japanese.
Okay.
It's,
For mobster.
He's the guy in charge. Whatever. He's like the guy.
Fuck that.
And so he looks at me and says, "You sing now. You sing." No, you Elvis? And he looked at me. You sing. You sing now.
He's got a funny voice too.
You sing. You sing now.
He's got hitmen around him and everything.
He just looked like a dangerous little guy.
So what did you
He made me sing right there. He took us out to eat.
Acapella?
And he made me sing. He made me like go to the place. And I said, I'm going to have some time. He took literally after we ate, he took me to the club and I said, okay, I got some time because the club's not done. It's like the walls aren't there, the floor's not there.
Did you have one go-to Elvis song
Huh?
Did you have one go-to Elvis song that you did in your acting? Like Now or Never used to do?
Yes. It's like a hound dog or blue suede shoes. But so anyway, we go to the place. It's not done. I said, I'm going to have time to learn these songs because the floor's not in. There's no way it's going to open tonight. But the thing is, in Japan, if you're not done, they make you pay. If you're a construction, whatever company,
really?
They make you pay for every hour you're late. You pay
that's not
fines.
happening
Blah, blah.
here.
So they did finish it that night. And then the problem was, it was 3 shows that night.
Fuck off.
4 on weekends. After the first show, the first night, I blow my voice out. I said, I can't do this. And then I go running into the sushi place, which is every restaurant there, and just start just shoving down
Go to 7-Eleven, eat sushi.
ginger, and just I get through the second show, and then the third show, I don't know how I survived it. I said, I never got to do it again. I'm like this the next day, and I don't know how I'm going to do it again.
Did you kill?
And it was good. It was okay. There was enough people on the weekends.
Is
It
there a
was
little
packed.
band or karaoke?
We had they flew me over with a band. And
little
everything.
band's playing.
But
Okay.
anyway, but like, and I said, well, you got to figure it out. And then, but it was, and sure enough, I did do the, I did my first Letterman appearance was he said, so you were Elvis in Japan. What was that like? And then, so he did ask me a question. I didn't have a really good.
It's still funny because you did Elvis on a Fish Hook on your first set, right?
Yeah, that was
Going
like,
full circle. So that Elvis was really, and then Elvis on a Fish Hook was just one of those quick hit.
But I could do a really good Elvis, so that would like it help. Oh, hey, I know what it was like. Priscilla, I don't know. Maybe I said now I would just introduce just like a. At that time, if you did odd stuff, unconnected, it was kind of interesting. That was like a style at that time. Yeah. It's like, and now I'd like to do my impression of Elvis on a fish hook. And on a fish hook, and I go, Sonny Red, I don't know, I'll maybe come back here one of these days and get some, and I would do that, and I go back and forth.
His lip curls up, and he tilts his head and lifts up like
you
got
to laugh. But that was the thing, like when I did that at that set that we did, and
auditioning for SNL, probably.
Yeah, and it was just one of those things. Like you got a big laugh, it was interesting. And Lauren said later, when I if I see something brilliant, I know that there's the potential to repeat it. Yeah. And I said, am I hired? And I guess that was the way of being hired.
Just that Elvis on a Fish Hook will be like a runner. I don't know if it's a talk show. You talk to Jim Downey.
Well, you also used to do reading from Elvis. Actually, your act was very unique. When you say, you just said a little bit ago, you go, I should try not to have the material like everyone else. That wasn't my motto, but you did because you actually did that. You also did also reading from the first time I met Elvis. Elvis and Me with Priscilla was funny.
An impression, if you're not good at it, just doing something that's completely not good at all
nuts.
is also works.
Who was that?
That was Priscilla.
That's Priscilla. And now
Okay, I got you. Yeah.
I read the book. Priscilla Presley wrote a book
then you
called
just
Elvis and Me.
Yeah.
And I swear to God, when I was reading it, I started reading it out loud to people, and they were just howling,
just so
laughing.
funny.
Maybe
what
I
was
could
the
do it on
voice you used
stage.
for Priscilla?
It was I would just talk like this, which is kind of like a version of like my mother.
Yeah.
My mother also, she would never, she
was
didn't
very
understand.
flat. Yeah.
Her
First
mother
time
from
I met
Baguio,
Elvis.
which is like the mountains of the Philippines. She wouldn't understand jokes, but she would understand how to laugh at the right time. She'd go,
Your mom,
Marvin,
very
what does
sweet.
it mean? What does it mean? I don't understand.
you know, when he said, he goes, when you were, one of your jokes was, I'll mangle it. When you were a little kid, when you were 8 years old, you banged your head on the coffee table and your mom would make you feel good and she'd go hit it and she goes, bad coffee table, bad. And she goes, and you'd feel better. And she goes, we make it even, bad coffee table, and hit it. And then you go to bed and your dad wakes you up at 2 a.m. and goes, hey, Rob, get on down here. Your mom spilled hot wax on the coffee table. We got to make it even. You know our policy.
Oh, yeah.
So then you have to have hot wax filled
he's
on
got
you.
4 hot wax.
Yeah, that was the idea, yeah.
They got to make it even.
But I remember, like, if I did that, you know, when you do a character, it's like you can do your jokes and you get it, but when you do a character, it's just another.
Also, in the middle of the joke, you're playing
and also
people.
you had a musicality to you. You had a rhythmic
Very good
musicality from the
singer.
early days, and we're hearing it
Thank
now,
you.
which is also, I like the whole is greater than the sum of the parts of musical rhythms.
Oh,
like
yeah.
getting copy. What was? How do you hit that? It was just so infectious. Making copy, like that.
There's a musicality
Yeah,
to it.
yes.
And it sings. It's got to
It's
sing.
like it's a song.
How did you?
Yeah,
now
no,
let's get to that part. Rob and I fast forward. We get hired on SNL. We audition at Catch Rising Star, I think.
Well, the first one we did at the Melrose.
Okay.
And then, like, the
We made the
scariest
cut.
part was, like, at that time, I kind of had, like, a little bit of a fuck you attitude in a good way, because you have to, because otherwise you get beaten down.
You're
So it's
too-
like- and I said, you know what? They said, and then I got the call from Bernie.
You know,
Lauren, he managed to put extra syllables in that one.
Lauren wanted to meet you.
And I said, well, he'll, Robert
Stallone,
Smigel.
his son.
Stallone, Smigel did a funny thing where he just like, it was just, you take it so exaggerated, and Robert was like,
Let me eat your foot.
I don't know how it got there, but his Bernie impression.
I want to eat your foot.
And
Bernie was a heavy guy.
obviously
He's
not
like
like
Santa Claus.
Anything. That's the thing he told me the first day.
Yeah.
No one fucking knows anything in this business. And later on, Brad Gray said, I told him, why is he saying that? Because it's like, give me 15% of that.
you don't-
gross
you
income.
don't-
I don't know fucking nothing. Now give me a check.
It's true.
So the next day he said,
Lauren wants to meet you.
Lauren. And I said, well, I got a gig in San Diego. And I said, he knows. I'm middling. I get a gig in San Diego, and he said he'll know what it's like. If you have a job, he'll respect it, and and he said if he wants to meet me, he fly me to New York, and that was very. And I just said that in the morning. As I'm driving down to San Diego, I have the cold sweats, and I literally I just fucked up everything.
Yeah,
Why didn't
for
I meet?
sure.
And I really had, but at the back of my mind, it was the right thing, and the only person he flew out of all those people who auditioned was me to New York to meet
You
them.
flew over me while I was driving.
David was, he was getting ready to move furniture because he had to go back and
And
forth
they
every
hired
summer.
us as a writing team.
I remember you guys coming in like freaking
Yeah, it was a weird
they-
scene.
Bernie
I was
said
not-
They're a writing team. You got to hire them both.
I was not aware that I didn't want to. First of all, I didn't want to be a writer. I wanted to write, but be a performer, and that was hard. And that's what I was saying about Copy Machine. We did those 4 shows. Even Dennis said, "Spudley, you don't get anything on. I think it's curtains." I'm like, and it was only fucking 4 shows. I go, there's no fucking chance. I did get a Michael J. Fox on the Dice Clay show, and Kenny Among, who I love, says, David, I forgot to put you at the beginning. I go, what does that mean? He goes, I didn't put your card up where it says featuring David Spade. And I go, it wasn't there? And he goes, yeah, so no one knew who you were. And I go, God damn, one shot.
It's a tradition on the podcast. Just 10 seconds of Michael J. Fox, Casualties of War.
Sarge. Actually, I just give you one.
Do it for Rob.
No, you're down to
10
one
seconds.
syllable. He's seen it too many times.
Oh,
so I do Michael J. Fox, and then we have the summer
Sorry,
off,
listeners.
and then Rob and I get hired back, They always wait a while.
It was a little touch and go-y because we didn't get anything on. But I remember,
Yeah.
like, I would do anything. Like, they said, like, write promos, which is like that. Why are they letting me write promos? I've never written a promo in my life. So this is awesome.
Fucking
and
jury
you realize
duty.
no one wants to write the promos.
Yeah.
And so I went in and they said, and Lauren was, I was just blown away by the fact that Lauren would even talk to me. And then he said, like, and then, and you have to write it. You'll write promos. And then
No explanation either. You just got to figure it out.
So so I went in, and Deborah Winger was the host.
Deborah Winger, I remember her.
And I went in, and Jack Handy wrote a great sketch with her, even though she was very fragile. I walk into her dressing room, and she's there sitting with Lauren on the floor. And she's literally crying, going, I can't believe you talked me into doing this. I'm not good. I can't. And I was just like, whoa, is this like this every week?
Yes.
Wow. I would have gone in Travolta, for her, like from what's that Western, was that?
Urban Cowboy, go ahead.
Like, I kind of think I might be falling in love with you or something like that. Sorry.
See, that was the thing about Dana too. Is that he would hit the in his stand up too. He's like the turns he would make.
Yeah.
By the time he would be like a NASCAR racer, a driver, and all of a sudden, and by the end of his routine, because he would do the stuff, but then he would pummel the audience. It was like a boom, 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 and by the end, he would go from one impression to another impression, and then the impressions are talking to each other, and the audience can't breathe. It was literally like a meditative thing for that.
Jeez,
and I said, holy shit.
I'm going to listen to this
Robbie,
podcast.
so
That's very nice, Rob.
But that is
We
what
can cut all that
That
out.
was the influence with me.
David wants to make an edit now. Just
No, I'm just anything about Dana we're going to take out. But,
Pummela.
Rob, when we were at, I think those four shows.
I just got to use the restroom real quick. I said, can I use it real quick?
Yeah.
Just once.
Yeah, go through the back room.
Dana, you
No,
started
well-
stand-up. Oh. Rob's going to go away. We don't have to stop it. We can just wait, right? Keep going. Oh, we keep going? He's so
Rob's
weird.
using the restroom.
I know.
That's really smart.
Talk about Deuce Bigelow.
What does that mean? Like
He's taking
gonna,
it too.
Like he's going to unload?
Yeah, he's got to.
He's getting the unload chamber.
There's a bathroom right here too. Do you know that you don't have to go in the back bedroom? There's a bath. I just never knew if you.
I guess
Where did you go?
I went to the very back.
That's Dana's bathroom. You
You're
can
not
do
going
whatever one you want. I
again.
just wanted to let you know, and mirror, making a mirror in there so you can even.
You can watch yourself.
It's just either one.
Audio
It doesn't
only
matter which one you
podcast.
use.
No, it's right by the grocery store. If you go through this hall, there's a little mini Ralph's. It's a pop-up. You go through that.
Sorry, Sarge.
Hey, Sarge.
Hey, Sarge. I got it. It's Casey Kasem. I got to do it. Hey, Sarge.
I
Yeah,
don't.
say
I
Sarge.
have to get a new one. Dude.
We don't have that many runners. That's just a great runner.
That's a great runner.
No
You
one
got
gets
one.
tired of it.
You know what Nikki Glazer said about your set the other night, that you should do more of that Bill Gates bit, and
On the island.
yeah, it was funny.
I was just
and do more Clinton.
It was
Oh, you see those pictures? I got them for you.
bailing because I was just doing concepts. I was bailing because a lot. You know,
But they were so excited.
The pictures and the videos I saw made it look like it was like the best show.
I did keep some of those pictures to
well, I
send
did
you.
get a standing ovation, but to me that's not good enough. No, it's because I did Chopped and Broccoli on the piano where I wrote Chopped
Yes.
and Broccoli. Yeah.
You did a standing ovation, but they found out that guy worked there.
Ding, ding. You came up, and I knew on the way out, all I heard was roaring.
Well, what happened was the other night, if we're still on,
crushing.
is that Dana came down to do the improv the other night, and he's hosting a show coming up, so he's
I hadn't done
practicing.
stand-up in 3 years in a club.
3 years in a club. We put him as a special guest, and then I went after him. But went up, great, read some stuff off a notepad. Everyone was enchanted. Funny premises, big laughs, closes hard. And then I went up, but everyone was like, psst, psst, Dana. So
Well,
they were
that's
all
good
excited.
if she liked that. I like the premise of Bill Gates on, Epstein's Island
Yeah.
being awkward.
Yeah, it was
Hey,
good.
what are you doing here? I'm just like putting on sunscreen. We're gonna go by the pool. You want to go? Hey guys, Rob is still in the bathroom, and I know that's exciting news. But
Let's roll that videotape.
part 2. Well, he's in the bathroom doing part 1. If he does part 2, we'll let you know. But right now, I'm here to say that on Friday, part 2 of Rob Schneider's epic appearance on Fly on the Wall.
After the bathroom.
will
Let's look at a
drop.
clip.
Yeah.
Oh, I was saying
think
that
so.
when Rob and I were there for the 4 shows, I think what we don't realize, even though we didn't get a sketch on in quotes, but being at the rewrite table and being around the office, you can just tell if you're in the game that long like they were,
Yeah.
just by saying we're pitching throwaway jokes in sketches on rewrites. I think just hearing someone talk at lunch or dinner or hearing pitches, by the end you can go, they've got game or not. Like they can tell, like just from what I heard, the little bits, we're on the right track with these guys. Because I'm sure they went to Downey, Lauren said, what do you think? Do you want these two clowns back? And then, Smigel or Frank and Chirp.
I'll tell you something that's important as well. And especially Lauren, like he wants to hire people he can go to dinner with.
Yeah.
He wants to hire people that really have a high social IQ in the room, and you two qualify for that. As far as integrating in with everybody, you guys had a lot of charm, and you wouldn't overtalk. You'd insert, and so that part of the reason you're there, besides your great comedy chops, was just social skills. And Lauren really picks up on that.
Yeah.
You get along well, and I just want to say, I'm going to tear up, but Rob. Who wrote Il Cantore? Because that was one of my favorite moments I ever did on the show, and I did not write it.
I will tell you, that was influenced by an experience that Adam and I had where first of all, I went over to, it's a weird thing, but like money, how I equate success, is something like my parents, when they spent money on a couch, they bought a new couch and they immediately covered it in this quality, high, thick polyurethane plastic, and they still wouldn't let us sit on it. Because it was a really nice couch.
Oh, you could.
So
that makes sense. Yeah, I got that.
So that was like, we have money for a couch now. Don't fuck it up. This is our couch. Don't spill shit on it.
Never sit on it.
Don't spit on it.
Don't even look at it.
Use it for guests, and when the guests come over, and if they're special guests, we'll unzip the plastic. So that's the way I equate like fame and success as a couch. So I went over to Adam Sandler.
How do you connect that?
I don't get it yet.
Unzipping the plastic.
Unzipping. So I went over an unzipped, brand new couch at Adam's. I said, he must be making money. This is a new couch. It was like a little couch, and I said, so we started. By the second season, we're making a little bit of money. So then we had girlfriends too, which is another sign of success. One of the reasons, well, let's be honest, we really wanted to get into show business because I when I played trombone and the marching band and in high school, I said, this is not
a
going to
panty
get me
dropper.
a supermodel. This is not going to anywhere close. I said, what is it going to do? What can I do better than this? So we will stand up.
For a second, look, for the Lonely Hearts Club that I was part of, once you are forced to act confident, stand on a platform and dominate a room, even if you're just pretending, your stock goes up with young girls. So it is Xanadu. It is
I like a certain comedians like Norm Macdonald, you got about 45 minutes to close the deal when you're done because, the women, the power, it depreciates after you're on stage. I said, Jesus, this guy's like a scientist about getting laid after getting on stage.
Wow, the power move is at the other cafe where this girl that you couldn't even talk to in high school is flirting with you, and then they're announcing your name. I gotta go.
Yeah,
but anyway, go back to your story. Sorry about that.
So, anyways, I'm at Adam Sandler's place. He's got a new couch, and I go, we've changed,
Nice.
and then we have girlfriends, good-looking girlfriends, and all of a sudden, so we go to a place that we wouldn't have gone the first season because I remember he had his dad knew somebody who had so he had a couple of months for the first season at SNL, just in case it's not wasn't work out above this restaurant on Madison Avenue. And it was a little apartment that he got for for a few months. And I remember the place was so expensive downstairs. It was the turkey sandwich was $17. And he said,
the fuck?
I said, we'll split a turkey. I
Jeez.
said, you and I will split a turkey sandwich.
Yeah.
And then we'll eat downstairs. And it's one of those fancy places. So it's cool to hang out there. So by the time we started making a little bit of money, the second season, we take the girlfriends, we go to Little Italy, let's show off a little bit. And these Italian guys were kissing the girls.
There we go. Il Cantore.
Hey, how are you?
and they're kissing your girl.
And they say, bellissima.
They're kissing your girlfriends.
They're kissing our girlfriends.
In front of you.
Yeah, yes, they're kissing them up and down. And the hug also seemed like, the hug was also very,
familiar.
Yeah.
Yes, it was like, and they just met them.
Welcome.
And we go we're happy to be here, but it was a little odd. But that sunk in something really to Adam's psyche about that. And I remember he went off, and I had a great office on the 17th floor that actually you could see the Empire State Building. It's like, This is ridiculous. This is incredible.
Yeah, it's all
How did I get this?
It's all incredible.
It's amazing. So, and just being on the 17th floor and go who did Aykroyd have this office? I was always, the history of the show. And then, so Adam came in with Robert Smigel and they can't talk. And they're literally like, it's 2 o'clock, 2:30 in the morning. Just
I was
when,
about to
when
say
the
it's
good,
got to be him and Smigel.
that's when the good stuff starts to come, because the structural side of your brain gets really, really tired, and
just
the
so
goofy
tired.
side
Yeah.
takes over.
Yeah.
And so these guys are coming in, and they're literally giggling and just falling over, and they just literally hand me this pieces of paper, and it was typed at that time, so they got it typed, and then they handed it to me, and they're watching me, and I'm reading the sketch, bellissima, where they're kissing and
Italian
Was it
restaurant.
Kirstie Alley?
and they watched
Kirstie
me.
Alley.
They watched me just to make sure that they weren't just being goofy
Crazy.
themselves.
Yeah.
Then they watched me, and I reading it, and I fell on the floor, rolling, laughing. And they said, "We got something here."
God damn.
And then Adam and I, we know that Dana was going to murder.
Yeah, you have to bring in the big guns.
Dana would have
Plus you're a feature
another
player.
level of commitment, which is like there was a level of commitment. You expect this, and then Dana would just would go off.
But
the, off
it,
the
was,
charts.
it was pennies from heaven for me. Because you have to write a lot of stuff. But when you get something handed to you,
that's a crusher.
It's physically funny and in every other way funny.
You
I just
almost
remember,
can't- you can't fuck it up.
for people. It's one of the most famous sketches in our era. There, where the Italian
sure.
waiters are kissing, and then you being one of the Italian waiters, you come by and you lick Kirstie Alley's face.
face.
She was a gamer. She's what I call a broad.
She was great.
She
I
loves
licked the
that.
shit out of her face. I said, "Are
Yeah.
you okay with this?" She goes, "Oh yeah." And so I was like making a meal.
She
out
knew
of
she
her
was
face.
in a fucking crusher sketch.
He's very cool.
And then Adam's like, we shared a dressing room for years, and he said, and he looked at me, and he's a bit of a hairy guy, and he's got one of those hockey legs, like
Yeah.
the northeasterner kind of guy.
Yes.
Thigh,
just like
yeah.
he's got a
Hairy
hockey
legs.
ass. He's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
he should be
Yeah.
playing, and he's
Yeah.
actually a
Chunky.
pretty good skater. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
It's actually like we during like the second season. I remember we were walking to go to get something to eat, and it was snow in the street, and he would like run out. And during when there was a stoplight, and he'd get behind a cab and sneak behind a cab, and he'd let the cab pull him.
And have just his shoes on the ice.
Just his tennis shoes on the ice.
Oh yeah.
And then he would like,
Oh,
and then
Papa, shoes
but he wouldn't. He would handle it,
shoes.
and he just good skater, good guy. And I went like, shit.
Yeah.
And I said, dude, you're famous. You're gonna get smashed.
He didn't need anything extra going on. He already had everything going on.
yeah. So then.
then he also can do that.
And then he
he's
asked me, he
ripped.
said, so, hey, and he said, should I shave my pubes? And I went, absolutely. And I just knew it was going to grow back, and he was going to be in agony for a couple of weeks, and I was going to enjoy that. And so he's preparing. He's got this like diaper on before, and he just blue.
Oh, shave the pubes for the bit.
Yeah, so he's there before.
Not
We're in
for
the
you.
dressing room, and he said, "Should I shave my pubes for the Italian waiters bit?" Because he comes out in a diaper, basically, with his ass hanging out. And I said, "Absolutely, Adam,
Yeah.
shave the shit out of that." And then he did, and then and I came out, and I was ass naked, and that was when the censor. Who was the time in our era?
Andrew Brewer?
Andrew Brewer said,
Yes.
please don't show your ass. Please, I beg you, I'll get fired. Please, I beg you. Because then they were laughing so hard, especially when you were humping Victoria Jackson.
I want to ask from your point of view about that, because how did we get to that? Where I go as the waiter, I lick Kirstie's face, I do I go back, and somehow Victoria and I are having some debate or something, then I lean her down on the table. Did I do that in the dress show?
No.
I didn't.
You didn't.
Okay.
You what happened was, like, a lot of times you take something, oh, this is funny, let's do it more and more.
Yeah, yeah.
And by the dress rehearsal, it was screamingly funny. And then it was another level. And then Farley also was humping the window at the end.
Yeah.
So it was a thing. And then it was one of the
forgot Farley was in it.
one of the few sketches, and the biggest tag of any sketch I was ever involved in was usually you don't have a good ending for something.
Right.
But Kevin Nealon, who was the date of Kirstie Alley, said, oh, let's go to this is too much. Let's go to this is a Greek restaurant down the street,
yeah. So-
which is like, oh my God. And it was a screaming laugh at the end. I remember being 4 feet away from you, 4 feet away from Adam, and we're looking at each other with that slight little grin, because I never liked being one of those guys who ever broke. I never broke. I just didn't respect it. It wasn't part of the tradition of the SNL. And I know that they did after we left, or after my years there.
You're not allowed not to laugh.
But I looked at him, and there was a look on our face like, we couldn't hear each other do our lines.
Yeah.
But we knew it so well that we it's just murdering. Like, especially when I came out, it was a scream when I came out, because I
kept
showed my ass
escalating.
came out.
Are you?
know?
You come out naked?
I came
But
out
you
naked.
came out so centaurial and so straight and so no sense your ass is hanging out. You're bare and you're just acting so regular.
Yes, that was something that the audience had never hadn't
winking
seen
at all.
Yeah, which is so good to not comment on.
Yeah,
and just commit to the stuff, which was what you need to do. But there's a little bit of you're enjoying it also.
It's always behind the eyes. When I had Victoria's legs in the air and I'm having a kind of an argument with you guys, what are you doing? And that's going, and I can't really even hear myself. The audience is roaring because of the visual of it. Victoria, of course, was such a gamer.
Oh, yeah.
And that was a perfect part for her. So you guys wrote and produced a perfect sketch, basically.
That one was the best one. I mean, there were some that were...
some just stand out.
Some just like, well, that was... There are things that you can't deny. Another thing a little gem that the great Dana Carvey gave me, he was because you're frustrating. You don't know how the business is. I didn't know anyone in it. My mom was a teacher, war survivor. My dad had his own trauma in his youth. There's a suicide. His father committed suicide. So I was raised with. I didn't know anything. I had very fragile parents who were also really, really had a violent streak. I don't know what the hell I'm doing, and I don't know. But Dana gave me this thing because you have this fire in you. But it's like I tell my own kids, I said, and I got luckily beautiful little kids, and I said, you got a fire in you. Fire is very instructive. It can cook your dinner, but it can also burn the house down. And Danny said, very instructive to me. I never forgot. It's one of the things that you keep
said
going.
That shit?
What did I say exactly?
You said, you don't have to let people know how hungry you are. Mm-hmm. That was informative. Because it's like, I want this fucking thing so bad. And look at these. It's like, calm down. And then you said, get so good they can't deny you. You still may not get the job.
Yeah.
But get so good they can't deny it. And then they go, that guy's amazing. That guy's great, but we got to hire the more famous guy. And that keeps you going for
because
years.
Of the club drama. When you're starting out in clubs, a lot of drama, and you can get into the drama with the dysfunctional comics. I should be a headliner. I know why I got that. And just look at your own feet, stay in your lane, and just become undeniable.
But who takes you aside and gives you that kind of information?
Yeah, it's nice.
And then also the witness to it. Like I said, and he said we had a great drive down to L.A. one time, stayed at your apartment, and I was like, well, this is beautiful. This is going to be my future. I'll move down here. This is going to be amazing. I love it.
Guys going to L.A.
I love it. And they say, and he's like, no, this, and then and I remember it's like you were on that TV show where they clearly the most, I said, this is the most talented guy I know, and they don't know how to use him. Yeah. And they let you have 5 minutes to do whatever you wanted at the end of that TV series, where you played a helicopter pilot.
Oh, that, yeah.
And I was like,
Blue Thunder.
Blue Thunder.
I never should have done that stuff. That was my own
But that's
insecurity.
just getting a job. You got to get a job.
Because I was they wanted to have me do a TV show. I did quit after that. I just focused on stand-up for the last 2 years before SNL.
But it was really informative, too. I said, well, if they can't, he's the most talented guy I know. Yeah. Most talented guy out of San Francisco. This is the guy, and it said and if he's having a problem here, what the hell am I worried about? And that actually was very informative as well. So, it's hard, and so that's why when you do 1,000 auditions like we did, and the thing was cool about Spade was he had already done a movie. And that was amazing
because Police Academy.
That was like an enigma in a
It's crazy. I was already on set for 10 weeks, but Robbie, we got the balls you had was when things were cooking quicker for you. You got offered a movie and you said no. I think it was the one with Michael J. Fox in New Zealand, The Frighteners.
And it was also with Peter Jackson. I should have said yes, but the script was terrible.
I think it was $300,000. I was like,
it was his first American movie, but it was called Abracadaver, which is like, oh my God, that sounds like a career ender.
That's the great. Oh yeah,
but it wasn't a great. But I would have.
No, it was. I think $300,000 because I was more torn up by it than you were. I was like, he's turning the fucking ball. But you also the balls.
I also did some shitty
you
ones.
You wrote Copy Machine. When we were just being told every day, don't put yourself in 2 lines.
Well, that was the thing.
And then you wrote your own sketch, and I was like, the balls. And then it got on, and I was like, Wait, that's even possible?
Well, that's the dangling carrot. Because like when Lauren hired us,
was too good to-
Lauren would
It's
say
a
like,
little vague, right?
he said like, what, I said, but I want to be a performer. I said, we're going to hire you.
That'll come.
We're going to hire you as a writer, like it's a group, but we're going to hire you as a writer. Because that's what happened after I didn't meet with him because I went and do a $75 gig and shit my pants. Like I
San Diego.
And San Diego. Then I freaked out. And then I really got nervous because then they flew us back to New York and we had to perform for the writers at Catch. And, they didn't laugh once in the whole time. They just wanted to see if you're going to get shaken.
That's it. Lauren, when I was, he pushed me a little bit. Do you have anything else, or is it just that? I mean, he literally tried to shake me, not at the club. He saw me at a club, but at the little audition. So yeah, that is a show
That rattles
when you
you.
don't give it up. You don't.
Yeah, but there was a thing about, like, remember when the ears burning off my face, I was saying?
Yeah.
I remember at that point, I had to say to myself, okay, you just got annihilated physically, emotionally, spiritually, in every way you can. And I said, you can't, I just said to myself, you cannot let this get to you. And I said, I'm willing to let them get to me till here. And it was like my belt. I said, I'm going to let this affect me here, but not all the way to my feet. I'm not going to let that happen.
Not my
and
dick.
so like when I was eating it that night, just get through this, man. Get through this. They saw you be funny the other day. Just get through it. Get through it. And I walked out of there and I was shaken by it, but not broken. And that was the key because on live TV, you can't shake. You can't be broken. You got to stand in there and do it. And it's just the repetitive nature of it and just getting steely and getting tough. And then to the other level, to enjoy it.
That's where you want to get to, and that took me a little time to truly enjoy it.
And then also to deal with the pressure of it. I mean, because that is that's why, like, when we first got there, I remember you and I looking like, what is everybody complaining about? This is the greatest thing ever. And like 4 years later, it's like, boy, it does wear you down.
Sure.
100-hour weeks.
So it's like a dream come true. When you got Copy Machine Guy, what was that feeling? Because then you get on the show.
When you get there and you see, like, wow,
something's popping.
These people get
hard.
onto restaurants quicker than me. Like, you got Phil Harp and you got Dana Carvey. You get these murderers row up there.
Yeah.
And then, but you also know, like, I know I can get this, and if I just got to get on there, and then, then I remember when the first year, it was late. In 1990 when Adam Sandler was hired. And this is a guy, and it was so cute because his first week was there. We wrote a sketch together. And I said, come on, I'll show you how it's done. Like, I know, I've been there before shows by then. And then I remember he stayed up all night and his little eyes were puffy. And we wrote this thing for ourselves. And then
Still had the big legs, though. I want to picture Adam.
And we wrote it, and then they took it away from us, and then gave it to, like, was going to be, I think it was Goodman and Hartman.
John Goodman.
And they said, like, I said, what do we have to, in a gentle way, what do we have to do to get on ourselves here? And it was very instructive too. He said, and this was down. He said, when you could perform something, when you write something that you could perform better than other people, then we'll get it on. And I said, okay, bingo, I'll come up with something. And I liked writing for other people because I enjoyed also the thrill of, like, when you performed a piece that was probably the best one I'd ever written for any piece, and you had a way of, like, you would, like, it was like the wave, a really great comedian, as opposed to, like, a sketch player maybe could do it too, but a comedian in a big room can ride the wave, and before it's coming down, 3/4, 2/4, no one to come in with that other line. And it was a massive hairy head wound.
Oh.
Did you write that?
You're kind of the main architect of that sketch.
I wrote that.
Well,
with Adam, but that was me.
Well, double
Oh, I
thanks,
thought it was
because I was
handy.
writing a rocket in that. And of course, what
We
we
talk
talked
about that
about
a lot.
in the podcast, the dog thing at the end was, you can't beat a dog going dog.
You can't. But the thing about it was the dog in dress rehearsal.
Yes. What did you guys do?
With the dog in dress rehearsal, we said, okay, well, we can't have it rabid, but, like, they said to us, and I don't know anything about dogs, and they just said, well, if we don't feed it, it's going to, it'll get to do what we want by the time. And anyway, so they fed it a little bit, so it was curious.
It was curious at dress.
And it was absolutely
Hungry.
famished.
Did you put more? Was it baby food you put on the
It was
prostate?
liver baby food.
Liver baby food.
We put on, and
We
I
put
said,
on-
I fucking put it on, and I
You put a lot
I
more
caked on there.
I tried it.
And
It
you
was
did
good.
a beautiful thing where, like, because it was literally ripping off the side of your head,
The
which was a
prosthetic,
wig,
yes.
prosthetic with
Bloody
the
wound.
dog went for it. It basically a massive hairy wound.
It wanted it on air. It wanted it.
Massive hairy head wound was a guy who should not be at a party,
who's at a party and just with a big head wound, and it's just is getting everybody is just like he's trying to normalize it, which is great. Somebody, a crazy person in a room, in a situation where you've never
trying
been
to treat you normally,
and then he's got this
reacting.
giant head wound. They're reacting, and he said, "This is a punch bowl," and there's a thing, and then at the end there's
I take a nap,
and the dog goes to town, and it was one of those things where you're watching it, and it's going really good, and you're just like, oh God, come on, please keep going, get to this, and then when the dog literally went to get it because it knew where it was and was hungry, and then you do this beautiful thing where you snuck your hand up on the other side to hang on
to hold it, and I was in a death struggle with
and you
that
were
dog.
also because there was like your eyeball, your right eye
was stretching
is
out.
literally what you were like 4 inches away from this very hungry dog, and you just kind of rode it, and then you had the wherewithal to remember to let the audience as that screaming laugh was coming down to throw in that like
he smells my dog.
Punchline.
My dog. I think he must smell my dog.
But you had you had to almost yell it.
Yeah, I had to kind of yell it. And the thing is back to our generation of not breaking. The sketch went so beautifully. I did not want it to be about the prosthetic coming off.
Yeah.
So by consequence, the battle extended so long that, and I heard Lauren watching the monitor, which we always want to make Lauren helpless, and it was helpless with laughter. But anyway, Robbie, God. What can I do for you? I mean, those are
it's the least I could do to pay you back for all you did for me.
Two great gifts.
When you do, Rob and I both had this problem where you're writing that first year, even second year for me, and you're putting your stuff in even smaller parts, and they go, give that to Dana, give it to Mike Myers, give it to, and you have to keep taking yourself out. So the one way in is update because you're by yourself. You can try to get something on.
That was Sandler's key. Was the Eddie Murphy route.
Especially the guitar you got
and your copy machine. But I think the host was Sting the first time you did it.
Well, the first time I did it was with Joe
Pesci.
No, Joe
Mantegna.
And I remember it was so crushed because I finally had a monster. It was one of the things I said when because Jim Downey noticed this is a kind of like a goofy, too happy to be here kind of attitude, was this. And he said, you got to do a character called the Lurker. It kind of got this hanging around. But truthfully, and I gave him credit, but truthfully, the copy machine guy had nothing to do with that, really. It was just a guy, the truth of the real... that really came from when we first got there to SNL. Remember before we got the really good office, they gave you, there were so many cast members, I think 17 at the time.
The first time a really big cast.
There was a giant cast where literally the crawl of the show was actually longer than like the monologue. Because it was like 17. And also, and this, and co-star, and the feature player. It was like Ellen Cleghorn, and David and Rod Schneider, and Adam Sandler. It went on, and Melanie Hutzel. So it would go, so we were in like a half of an office.
Yeah.
And so I had the cooling and heating vent in mind. So it was either boiling or freezing in there. So I have claustrophobia because I have 2 older brothers and put me in sleeping bags and closets, my childhood. So like I can't stand in closed place. I hate it. And so I would go out into the main writer's room. And I noticed when everyone's walking back and forth, you can't be as excited the 4th and 5th time when to see, Kevin Nealon. So Kevin was the one I said, Kevin, all right, Kevin.
Just your doors open.
And he came and played with the idea. Yeah, what do you want, buddy? What's Kevin? And that was it. It was like, and I said, I had to come up, and then I went to New Orleans for the weekend, just to take off some pressure. And I thought, like, well, there's got to be a reason why people would come into contact with this annoying person, and they didn't want to put him somewhere else. And I just can't. I said, well, copy machine.
Copies.
That was it. Simple, but I remember like people were laughing so hard at read through, which was like to me the real, the real there's no such thing as a democracy in show business, but that was the most democratic thing I've ever experienced. If you wrote a sketch, it was read in front of everybody.
And
that was pretty damn amazing. So if you murdered with everybody, chances are
usually that's good. And I think that I would use the word inexplicability, like making copies. It's all not a punchline. It's all the absurdity and the rhythm to it. But it's also just kind of a nerd in an office leaning back, trying to be friendly. I mean, it works on a lot of levels.
And he
Did
has
you
a big,
comb your
stupid
hair
smile.
up in kind of a funny way? Or
I always
what were
had
you
my
wearing?
hair
Puffy.
big by that time because it was just like
funny
Elvis-y.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Elvis-y. And he's like, he was a guy that you also, he kind of gentle and nobody wanted to
Yes,
hurt his feelings, but he's also annoying. And so it was a nice combination of this vulnerability.
Smiling,
Yeah,
too.
Vulnerability is a big one.
Likability.
Yeah.
And then people, I remember that, like, cause I did it with Joe Montana, and they said we're gonna cut it
Save
for
it?
time. We're gonna save it, and I went like,
Oh.
save it,
Terrifying.
It's my chance. I've waited all these years. I'm 25.
yeah.
I gotta make it now.
Who's this guy? The guy who wants to make it guy? Or is it-
But
I
how
can't
would you
believe
not
it.
give it to the host? I mean, always the trick is if you write something for the host, that's the best
Usually
shot.
They knew
Music
that
goes in.
if you could perform it better, and that
Yeah.
sing-songiness to it.
Yeah, I mean,
the
Mantegna,
rhythm
I don't know
piece
if
to
it's
it.
perfect guy for that.
Right. So
And
when
so-
did it first kill? Who was
This
the host?
Sting.
Sting, yeah.
Sting.
And
Well,
that,
yeah, he's got
that
all
came
that.
out of the gate.
Yeah.
And people got into the rhythm early into that sketch.
When
like
was the first
third
laugh?
line?
Third time?
The third line, Kevin, and they said, "Hey, what's going on?" I said, "All right, Kevin, asking me questions, Kevinator, Kevin," and that one, they laughed.
The second one. Kevin.
Kevin, you know, just
Yeah.
there's no new information happening.
It was
but he's
Sting- did
continuing
Sting
the
like
conversation.
Dun, dun, dun,
By the way,
dun,
Sting
dun,
looked
dun,
like a
dun.
fucking
Yeah,
star.
right. That's
It is.
exactly
That's
right.
like
yeah.
a little song, and then there you can laugh.
And then they found
Yeah.
a spot for it. And then I remember, the great Jim Downey took me aside and said, well, it's the only time, like, they hadn't done it very often in that show where, like, except for, the weight of you having to open every show for years was they said, we're going to do another one of those. They said, we have a very, very rare thing here, a character that people love. And I said, it was a very rare, the rarest of things here. And I said, we're going to do another one. And then he had the idea of the copy machine breaking down. And that was the best one we ever did.
Oh, I remember.
And that was phenomenal. That was like, because you got to see his whole world crushed, the copy
And
machine.
how does he react to that?
Oh, he
What is
freezes.
it?
Just like, well, they're taking the machine out.
Yeah.
There's no reason for him
So
to
then
no
he
one to
just
have
is
contact
losing-
with him anymore. His world is taken apart.
Yeah.
So it
What
was
does he-
brilliant.
so what does he say? You're sad.
It's just he just got crushed, and then
Lackluster.
they. And then they brought it back in, but you got to see him just like devastated.
Yeah.
And I just remember laughing. But when the first time we did it, the read through, Jim was dying laughing because of the rhythm. It was a rhythm of a rhythm of a rhythm.
Yeah.
And that by the time it was like, and there was just a pummeling of it, and he was dying laughing. And I said,
Great to
okay,
make Jim laugh.
this is the one that's going to get on. And Jim would give it up. That was the key to it. He was interested in us as young guys, and I think fed off the energy. But also, if he found something funny, he was very generous. That wasn't always the case with people, because Jay Leno was another influence. Like when Bob Fisher at the time was a manager, he said, and I was a young comedian. He said, "You're going to pick up Jay Leno. He's got a gig in San Jose. You're going to take him to the radio. And I know you know San Francisco. You grew up here. You're going to know it like the back of your hand. Take him wherever he wants to go." So Jay Leno, which is a great Jay Leno story. That's an old one. You got to hear this one. But so I pick up Jay. Says, "Have a sign.
Jay's very wise.
Nice, clean car."
Yeah.
And so. He picked him and said, "Hey, so you drive me to the gang?" Yeah. I said, "Yeah, okay." I mean, so we're driving, and I'm not saying anything. I'm just driving there, and he said, "A good Chinese restaurant?" I said, "I know the best, Mr. Leno." So I took him to the place that my dad knew was like for wealthy people where they would go. We would go to a different place. He said, "Just as good food, not as expensive, just as good as that place." So I took him to that place, And he said, "Well, come on and eat. I don't eat by myself, And because I wasn't going to go and sit with him, but he did. And he said, "So what are you, a comedian?" And I said, "Yes." I said, "Well, how much time you have?" I said, "I got about 8 minutes." He said, "Good. Most comedians ask how much time. I got 2 hours. I said, who wants to hear 2 hours of comedy material? You either have 5 minutes that kills every time, everywhere you go, any place, or you don't have anything."
He's right.
That's what you got to get. So he said, "Work on it." So I spent the next 6 months just only trying to get that killer 5, and that was really helpful. But the Jay Leno story, which is really funny, around that time, he was doing this bit on Letterman called, "What's your beef, Jay?"
What's your beef?
Let me
Yeah.
tell you my beef.
Yeah,
Let me
it's
tell
hilarious.
you, Dave. And he would do this bit, and it was a monster. Like you
it
and I
was huge.
opened for him.
Yes, I've
In
opened for
1985,
the two of us.
both of us.
Okay, because I did open for him a few
You
times.
opened for. I was the opening act. You would come in and you did a half, and then he did an hour.
Okay.
And we
Yeah.
both sat back and went like, "Wow, this guy
Just
he's
joke
got." So we have our
machine.
killer bits. This guy has every bit is a killer bit.
Yes. Yeah.
That's what we said
Yeah.
to each other. We were watching. It was at the
Masonic
the
or-
Palace of Fine Arts.
Palace of Fine Arts. Yes.
Yeah,
And he
it
was like a professional comedian in the sense that every bit would flow to the next bit, and he was
Crafted.
tagging his McDonald's. Hey, McDonald's trainee, how do you be a McDonald's trainee? Let me get the milkshake for you, And it was all killing.
And it's like, you got I had that Buick, 1955 Buick, the kind of car, you run into a Toyota, you just hose it off, and you run into it, you hose it off, and then you go, you keep driving.
And he's smoking a pipe backstage, and I got off maybe before he went
pipe?
on. He always had a pipe in the early
Hilarious.
days. He goes, hey, you need more jokes, Mr. Carvey. He was kind of right, because I'm just doing chopping broccoli. So I assumed Jay would be like, yeah, I need more jokes. So,
But
he was right.
he rode a motorcycle onto the stage.
You bought broccoli.
Yeah, he always was on a motorcycle.
Motorcycle onto the stage.
You bought broccoli. That's
There's
it.
a funny thing that happened, though. There was a comedian who did an impression of Jay early. Because we can all do.
Yeah.
I'm like
We do
third
an
generation
impression
Jay
of an
Leno.
impression.
We all got that. It's like, once somebody breaks it and then you can figure out how to do it.
Everybody has it.
So there was a guy who did an early impression of Jay, and what he did back then. Remember, there was like a comedy magazine or a comedy list of when your spots would So if you were like Jay Leno or Jerry Seinfeld, you could buy a whole page, which was like
Just for Laughs newspaper.
yeah. So you can, and then they would promote, and it would hand it out to the different comics. Say, and he's playing this auditorium,
Yeah, I
Civic
remember
Center,
that.
and like,
Jerry was
this
another
comic.
one way ahead of us.
Yeah, and like they were already promoting and big, whatever. And so, but what happened was there was a comedian who saw where Jay was playing, so he would call up and say, "Yeah, this is Jay. Yeah, I'm doing my gig, and then it's got one thing though. When I show up at the airport, you're gonna have 25,000 in cash." At the airport when you pick me up. And so Jay would fly to this place and they go, Jay, here, thanks for coming. And here's your cash. You go, what's this? He said, it's 25,000 you asked for. I didn't ask for 25,000. What are you talking about? Who answered? I'm not. And it's like, and then he would go to another place, and the guy would call ahead and say, listen, this is Jay, before I need to,
Oh my God, that's
you're going to have I need the 25,000
Leno impersonator.
in a brown paper bag, and you have it at the airport. You got to do it or I'm not going to do the gig. And so the guy would show up. Hey Jay, I need 25,000. What is this? 25,000. What 25? I didn't ask. Yes, Jay, you asked her. 25,000 brown paper bag. And said, I didn't ask. What the hell's going on here? Let me tell you what you want.
These Japanese cars.
I gotta go down here. And so what he did was he called. He finally figured out what was going on here. So he called and said, "Listen, if you get the guy calls up and says he's me, just get his number." And then he got his number. This comedian. Who was doing it, and then he found out the guy's name. And when the best part of the story, he was auditioning for Jim McCauley for the Tonight Show. He said, "Let me know when he's going on." So before they bring him up, Jay said, "Let me just go up and do some time." So Jay goes up,
There goes Jay.
does 45 minutes of his killer shit at the Comedy Magic Club before this guy goes on, and blows out the room.
Yeah.
And Jay could blow out any room he wanted, and blew it out till there's just nothing left. And then this guy went on after and just ate it, didn't get the show.
Wow. I plead guilty in '78 after Mork and Mindy. I did a couple. Hello, this is Robin. I need $1 million cash at the next one. So,
Bring it to Dana Carvey's house.
I think you get. I need $1 million.
Her?
I just want to
Yeah,
mention a
read these
few
comics
names
before we get
of
rid of
our
Rob.
pals, and you can join in because they're listening to this from the old San Francisco. Of course, the great Bobby Slayton, Mike Pritchard, Jake Johansson, Milt Abel, Larry Bubbles Brown, Mark Pitta, Bob Sarlop, Mark McCollum, and many, many more that came up in that early scene with us.
Let me see that list.
with half of them.
And
Let me see this
Robin
list.
Williams was the godfather of that
Robin Williams
scene.
was before the internet, before cell phones, Robin would show up at at the Holy City Zoo, and then people on the street would hear about it, and the next thing you know, it's packed. People would be running to get in there, and then he'd do an hour at least.
Oh, yeah.
and
2
then he'd leave, and if the drunk people stayed, then we'd have an audience. And so more times than not, the audience would come to see him, and
was great for us,
hopefully he'd show up, and more times than not, he did. Because he was just addicted to it, and then and loved it, and so we had a scene thanks to him. There was at one point
Comedy scene.
on one street, on one block, there were 3 places to do stand up.
Was that
Last Day Saloon had it on Mondays or
On
whatever.
Clement.
Holy City Zoo,
Yeah.
Clement Street, and 6th.
And
6th and
Cobb's
Clement.
was in-
And then there was a place across the street that would do it on Tuesdays.
Yeah.
A bar, you know.
we were there pre-clubs. The first club got built in '79. Proper club. That was the punchline.
The punchline. That was
Which is
like a
still there.
real. When you
Punchline,
did that, they paid you $25 a little bit more than that.
That was amazing.
But and also just seeing There's Sarlot. Sarlot had like a real job in show business.
Bob Sarlot.
He was like on TV, which is like incredible.
Entertainment Tonight.
He was a sidekick for Letterman on Letterman's morning show.
On the morning show. That was like ridiculous. But he had would do spots on TV and was always smooth and a totally professional guy.
Yeah, great.
Kind of like
comic.
had that kind of the charisma of like a Leno who just would just settle in. The audience could be totally relaxed watching him. And then Slayton would murder and do really edgy,
Bobby Slayton.
edgy material that and get away with it and just get to the point where the audience is pushing back and dance around it and make jokes off not apologizing for it. And that was a really very instructive way. And he would destroy a room. Literally, I said, well, you have to learn what a headliner is. You have to learn what an MC is, what a middle act. And you see Dana Carvey is well, that's a superstar. But then you see Bobby Slayton.
Solid headliners.
Bobby Slayton was a solid headliner who's going to work everywhere. And that's what you got to do. But that wasn't my style because my style was more off-standing and uncomfortable.
Some of those
so I was good
trickled
for
over to
20.
Arizona.
I would be good for 10, 15, 20. Was interesting and different. Bring the audience to me. But that's not a headliner. Headliner, you got to go out and you got to pummel, and that's different.
Yeah. But in the last 15 years, when you come back to stand-up, you've done several specials. You've done great, you've become a great stand-up.
You have to change and adapt because you also have to adapt to what their expectations are.
Yeah.
Once you're famous.
They see you're famous, copy machine, whatever.
They've seen your movies.
And also all the movies. Let's see, we mention them quickly.
I was going to say, if we're going to wrap up Precious San Francisco, you also did
SF.
Arizona didn't get much play in this
Larry
one.
Bubbles Brown. These guys didn't move to L.A. That was the problem.
Yeah. Yeah, and they became San Francisco treats, famous San Francisco
comics know them.
But you have to make the sacrifice and come down and eat shit for a while and audition for 1,000. But a lot of people's they didn't want to mess with how comfortable things were.
I never understood that, making that your thing, because I think it was Rick Overton who said, "Hey, the cameras are down there, buddy. Let's go to where the cameras are."
You have to.
Rich Scheidner. Hey, it says here you dated Julia Sweeney. I don't remember that.
No, I don't know why that stuff that gets on the. It's I would never.
You had a phrase called "You can do it." Is that true?
Well, that was I didn't understand that. Adam asked me to be in one of his early movies. He asked me to be in to play the part that Ben Stiller did in Happy Gilmore. And he said because of this playing
you
this.
You and Adam have a chemistry, and David, you guys are part of that world.
There was a thing where there was a comfort level where and I finally told Adam, I said, listen. I said, stop. He said, you got to put other famous people in these movies. You don't need, and I said, you don't need to hire me for that. I'm telling you, you could hire Nick Nolte, and he finally did. And now he's not hiring me. He took me up on it. But hire people and do these other, But
you beat the shit out of that. That's what I mean, doing a great thing with that phrase.
A rhythm. So the thing was, he said, there's one line, and you could do it, and it says, you can do it. And it was actually Herlihy who came up with it. And I said, well, what does it mean? He said, just come out, we'll figure it out. It's a rhythm thing. And I'll go all right. So we went out and it was a sing-songy thing of just a guy showing up.
Yeah.
So there's the fun of the audience knowing that there's some back history with Adam.
Something's happening in the movie.
And it was and I said, I'll find a way to do it. And just do it in different ways. And you can do it. So it was it was just goofy. It didn't make sense. It was a guy who was
inexplicable. That's why it lasts. Inexplicable jokes like Chop and Broccoli or you can do it. Just go on for decades.
It doesn't because it's something that it doesn't need to be performed that way. No one in the history of the world would say it that way. It's not necessary.
It's unnecessary.
It's not
It's 5 questions. Who is that guy? What is he doing there? How did he get there? When did he come with his catchphrase? Why is he yelling it? When you can get to 5 questions, that's a keeper.
And auditions,
yelling a celebrity, yelling a shit joke.
Yeah.
Robbie,
what's the shit joke?
The joke is I got chunks of guys like you in my stool.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Phil Hartman.
The 3. But the 5, that's pretty good. Mm-hmm. So that was and let's do it in different ways. And Adam had a genius thing of he would keep the audience, they'd always get a laugh in there. And even when it was a serious part and the Water Boy, when he's upset and he throws throws a baseball out the window and it hits the Kentucky Fried Chicken Colonel, and he got a laugh and carried them out of that scene.
Yeah.
So he really knew how to keep the laughs going in there.
Keep them going. Absolutely.
Pummeling
if you go into auditions and then when we were doing movies and you would have people come in for auditions, when you're on the other side of it, we're casting people.
Yeah.
And when everyone does a line the same way and then someone does, you can do it, you go, oh. And then you go, have them come back. Because that stands out. If you're not going to give it the most perfect reading that everyone's going to give, there's something to that.
You got to bring something to it.
Yeah,
that's
you bring
not on
something
the page.
different, yeah.
Bring something on the page. Like when
Comedy
we
is
did the Wrong
surprise.
Missy, there was nothing in that. I mean, truthfully, there's nothing in that role in Wrong Missy.
Wrong Missy for you.
Nothing. But then,
Yeah.
like, even Adam called me and said, nah, I don't want you. There's this role, but it's not big enough. You don't need to do it. There's nothing.
Oh,
No,
what was
you
the character
helped.
you were that in?
And
Wrong Missy?
he
was
asked
the
me.
shark guy.
That was funny.
He asked me to like to do this thing, and then he called me up at the last minute and go like, "We really want you to do this." And I said, "Okay,
Yeah.
I'll do it." And I said, "But it's my wife's birthday." He said, "Nah, just bring her." And so we ended up. My wife came, and she was happy to go to Hawaii, and it was a fun gig because I'm just showing up doing a small role,
Yeah.
at
But
a
you-
small time.
You
and
always score with these
everyone's happy to have you there,
Yeah.
because you're just coming
You
in
were
to
helping
score.
out. Yeah,
Yes.
you were scoring.
And I said, well, let me figure this out. And I called Sandler. I said, what if I do it as an Aussie guy? And you're going like that. And he said, no. And when Adam is like, no. What are you doing? Just do it. He's already. He was
do it.
He was stretched. Just do it. Just what? Yeah, all right.
We love you, Adam.
And so, but then you got to find the thing. And I said, I said, if you start crazier to beginning in the beginning of the scene, and then you got a place to really go. If you were crazy, and I said, get me sunburned and everything. I was like overweight and burned and fat and bald. And I said, this is going to be great.
Schneider always commits to that shit.
Yeah, and they gave me a hand that was missing a few fingers. And I said,
that's
and
right.
a
The
young
shotgun.
director, and young directors, you be gentle with young directors, but you also have to you can't listen 100% because they, if you've done 30 movies in, you go, I really think this is a better idea than, because he used to when you see that shark down there, you tell him, and his line, you tell him I'm going to get you. The attitude was to be angry. And I thought, well, let's do the opposite of that, and I said, okay,
Just put the camera on Rob.
Yeah.
I mean, keep
So
it a
I
nice
said-
shot.
I said, well, when you see that shark down there, you tell him, what's up? As if he's happy to see him again, even though he ate my hand. Yeah. And it's just funnier, and it's a rhythm that you don't expect.
It's positive. It's always good to go there if you can.
And I said, when the guys get eaten by a shark, I said, you got to cut back up to us dancing.
That
some
was a great
disco
one.
song. I said, you just got to do it. And he said, but we don't have time.
I was the
and
guy
I said, just
getting
give me
eaten
one
by a
take. I said, David's in the
And what
in the
did the
shark
character
tank
sound like
on the
again?
boat.
I wanna hear him.
And he said, we don't have music. We don't have time for the money. We don't have music. And I said, let me talk to my music guy, and I'll give you a piece in 30 minutes. That'll be free.
Just
That'll be.
public
So I
domain.
called
God,
my.
that's awesome.
I called my composer, John Hunter, in Austin. I said, dude, can you just give me a favor? I'm doing this movie. It's Happy Madison. David Spade's the star. We just need a disco song that they can just have for free.
You, Farley, Swartz, and just are dancing and playing against me getting eaten by a shark.
Yes. And he said, well, we only have time for one take. I said, I'll take it.
Yeah, take
And
anything.
so he did the one
Anything.
with the crane coming up while we're dancing to this disco song while you're
Perfect.
underneath the water. And I said, it's something to cut to. You're going to
Yeah,
want it.
yeah.
If we don't have time, just do it. So we got one.
Yeah.
And that's what they use. So that's
It
what
was
you kind of
worth it.
hope for.
Well worth it.
But what voice did you settle on? I saw the movie. But
They
I
wouldn't let me do sorry, what I ended up doing was like a really low
Robert Shaw?
kind of guy. Well, they didn't want to do Robert Shaw because, what I wanted to do is a guy who's an alcoholic and great, gravelly voice and low. To be opposite of you.
Yeah.
Because that was interesting. And
That's
then
good.
and then you get and I had nothing really there. So you just create, so what do I got? I said, I'm the diving instructor. This is my boat. This is my fucking boat. I'm in charge of the boat. I said, give me some stuff. And the prop guy said, what do you need? I said, give me the snorkel and
Yeah,
the respirator.
a lot of shit.
I said, does it need to work? I said, of course it needs to work. Give me the goddamn thing. And he said, please turn it on. Give me something to do. And so I started playing with it while between takes. I said, what's funny? And it was making noise.
Yeah,
and
funny
noise.
noise.
And so we just, and David and I were working together
It's part of the
so-
rhythm. It's like a
that
vape
we-
pen.
We
It's
were
a rhythm.
fucking laughing.
Yeah, so
right?
and so I got this thing, and all of a sudden, and I go back, and so and he's about to get into the water, and as he's walking, I'm walking with him with this thing. It's
Yeah.
and I put it, and so right before I'm putting it on him and spraying it the water, and then I put it in my mouth, and then I hand it to him.
So you got everything.
And
Yeah.
David, it's like I'm now supposed to put that in my mouth. And
David would play that.
Yeah.
And I knew he'd go with it. And
I remember
that
we
scene.
were rehearsing that, and I go, Rob, because it was so funny. I go, do it more. And so
Yeah.
you were going like this, lick, and I'm just staring at you, and then you finally go, and then you stick it, and you go, and I put that in my mouth. Okay.
Yeah, but that got us out of that scene.
Yeah, it was
Big
so
laugh
funny.
to get to the
Great,
next
funny
thing.
with the sound off.
Yeah.
just
It was
that's
so
all funny.
weird.
And did
Yeah,
it do
funny with the sound off.
100 billion minutes or how many minutes?
55 million views that first month, and then still top
They
10
go by
in history.
minutes, so like a billion minutes.
I don't know.
of
Back then it
watching.
wasn't minutes. It was just.
But that was the
It was a
thing.
global
You know,
smash.
funny with the sound turned off.
Yes.
We had an acting coach, Ivana Chubbuck.
Yeah, she really
credit.
helped.
That's huge.
Roy London was the first one, and then when he passed away, Ivana Chubbuck took over, and she would say, "Do the scene again, but without the words, so everyone knows from your physicality what's happening."
Yeah.
Because that you're communicating with your body, aren't you?
Yeah.
You should be.
That's I Love Lucy. That's the grapes.
She would
that's
also
the
tell us
chocolate.
use a lot of props. Really work the room. Like it's more fun if you're doing business.
Get
And you're doing
stuff.
and that's hard to do because you're acting. You got to remember your lines. You got to match
But
everything.
get it. Get the
It's
stuff.
great.
And like for Deuce Bigelow, the thing about that was like
Deuce Bigelow.
my favorite thing about that. I was flying to Australia to promote the movie, and I'd never flown anywhere to promote anything. So this is like the first starring role in any movie where I was the guy on the poster. It's like it's cool to be on the poster, and there's a billboard of you.
Yeah.
And it was
Yeah.
And I thought, wait, let's just have a big name. It was Walt Disney Company did it, and it was for Joe Roth. And I said, this is a funnier thing. It's like me naked on the side of a bus, like the Burt Reynolds thing. And I was in really good shape back then. I said, this would be funny. And I said, no. And they said a very interesting thing. They said, posters are to not lose people. Don't give people a reason to not want to go see
I'll
it.
give him any edge on
And I
that.
said, holy crap. And so I'm flying to Australia because the movie did really good in America, and then you hear this laughter. It's hard to hear anything on a plane, but you hear this booming laughter on a plane. And I go back there, and they were watching my movie without the sound because they didn't want to see. You had to spend money to get movies back then.
Really good sign.
Yes,
Really good
I said
sign.
this is going to do really good everywhere.
Yeah.
But they didn't pay the $10. They're just watching the movie because they
it
can
looks
understand it by the physicality because that's the way you're.
And you can laugh
trained.
harder when it's funny with the sound off. You're not waiting for punchlines. It's just
Yeah.
you can just relax.
And sometimes when you're doing things and they don't, it's really funny, and then they could ruin it with sound. There was Men Behaving Badly TV series. The funniest thing I did in the whole series was very frustrating because the English show was so funny. It's the only reason I agreed to do it.
A
And they said,
sitcom
just
you
do
did
the
in the
same
night.
thing,
Yeah.
a sitcom on NBC, and they instead of making it just doing the same episodes that they did in England, they watered them down as like men apologizing badly. But there was one really funny thing where it said I'm going to get attacked by an owl, and it was in the way back in their foreground, and I'm just in the background while there's people in the front, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Because you could be the funny. And they said, well, what do we have? We can't have a real owl. And I said, just get a stuffed owl, just get something, and I'll pretend it's attacking
it,
to me.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I grabbed the beak right here, and I did this, and I am spinning around, and I'm going out of frame, coming back in, coming through. I'm hitting it, and that was the. And then they put, and it was the funniest thing I had done on that show. And then they put like when they came on the air, the cowardly producers decided to put squawk, 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 which killed it.
Yeah. that
Because
took
it
all
brought
away.
too much attention to it. But I ended up redoing that for another movie, basically that idea of the far background and going back with an animal.
That's the essence of comedian trying to be in movies and wanting to control the rhythm. And Sandler told me early on after his success, he goes, Carvey, they don't, meaning the directors. He did a couple of movies where Adam didn't get to be Adam. He goes,
Yeah.
they don't know what they're doing, Carvey.
Yeah.
They don't really know. It's not their fault. They don't know where to put the camera or whatever. So that kind of triggers me a little bit because I had
Scares me,
experiences just like that.
Because that's a
Where you're
survival
like,
mechanism. You know what?
Yeah.
It's got to be.
Yeah, we know the funny part. Just let us do that. So
And then if you get anybody who's going to be a director, and they usually put us with commercial directors because they know where to put the camera, know how to work, and they know a schedule and blah blah blah.
No, quick,
But
yeah.
they also have the ego of like, no, let's do it my way.
right.
And then you go, but this is what I wrote.
Well, Penelope Spheres in Wayne's World 1 was my best director because I'd have a Garth thing and she'd go, what are you going to do here? And I'd show her. And her only direction was, could you do it 10 seconds faster? That was it. No other direction.
But that's actually good because I
yeah,
will
because
say,
I already had the character.
I mean,
you know.
and the thing is about doing it faster and cutting out the pauses is instructive.
That's fine. That's just, okay, I can do it a little shorter.
I used to hate when like Dennis Dugan would say, "Can you do it without the pauses? Can you just do it without the pause? Just do it tighter there without the pauses." And I said, "Can't you just cut it that way?" And he said, "What if I don't want to cut it?" And then he's right.
Yeah, because a single shot is best, ideally, unless the edit is a comic.
That was the thing. Like John Cleese, my hero, and like
Genius.
genius. And he said, look at the scene in Life of Brian, also voted as the #1 comedy of all time in England. Not that, you bastardize our language, but for English, the traditional. Anyway, it's all, and he said, this is the #1, this is the voted, not by me, of course, but by people who, the public. So anyway, so he said, look at the scene when Michael Palin and the guards are going in to, they said, don't let anyone in, blah, 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 and unless it's him, and it's the guards, and they said, and then, okay, let anyone in. No, don't let anyone in, no matter what, and it's a very intricate thing, but it's a single master shot. Yeah. And he said, it requires a lot more rehearsal, but it's worth it. Let the audience decide where they want to look, because so much of direction, in television direction, and we're in an era of television.
Digital cutting.
Just cut here, let them look at this, cut here, look at them, do this movie. I don't really speak Spanish that well, but I just directed a film in Mexico, and the editor, who's a great guy, but he cuts to this and then punching on this, and I said, let the audience figure it out. And
2 shots are great.
Where they're looking, let the audience decide who they want to look at.
I feel like when I'm watching some stand-up specials, I'm in an invisible flying chair. Like I'm flying in the chair, seeing the guy waist up, and all of a sudden I'm way in the back, and then I'm right up on his face, and just let it breathe.
It jars you a little bit.
That cowboy shot, hold that a lot.
Yeah.
Don't overcut.
That's the most important shot for stand-up in those specials, is the
I
cowboy.
don't know who couched it. Was it Steve Allen? I mean, it just became the classic shot to give a monologue on a talk show.
The audience has to feel comfortable.
Yeah.
They have to be comfortable with you and with them. And if they're, and when I tell them movies, it's like, and I tell this then, because I was just working with a great crew in Mexico, and I said, listen, here's the thing, and I would tell the first AD, and I, because we were getting along in days, and I said, you know what people never say? I got to go see that new movie. I heard it was on time. And I tell the cinematographer who wanted to do this shot, and I said, you know what they never hear? You never hear the people say, like, I got to go see that new movie. I hear the camera moves are excellent.
I heard it came in under budget. All right, Rob, thanks for coming by. I guess
I
that's
loved it.
Rob
We gotta do it again.
Schneider, all-time great on SNL, huge cultural influence in American comedy.
movies
in the last 30 years, and
too many
really
to
shared
list.
a lot of great times with this young man. David, we're friends, right?
Yeah.
I like all my youngsters. I'm so proud of both of you.
Thank you. We
right.
we
The
hope we made you proud.
All right, Rob.
Thanks, Robert.
Peace out. Be
Love
well.
you guys.
You know, I saw at the Oscars, Dana, was Michael Keaton, and he was in the audience. He presented an award, and he also did a little bit, which I thought was pretty funny.
Oh, that was
Batman.
funny. Yeah, I liked Danny DeVito and Arnold, and then Danny DeVito goes, Batman, there he is. And then Keaton did the really straight face, held it the whole time. Someone said he just should have mouthed, I'm Batman.
I'm going to ask him about, what's that movie? Not The Paper. There was The Paper, and then there was Spotlight. He's done so many things. What a cool dude. Always in a good movie, always laying low. Got a little bit of mystery to him. I think split after Batman pretty quickly. It was funny when they did that bit at the Oscars. I was like, oh, all these guys have been on. Danny DeVito was just on. Schwarzenegger was on. Michael Keaton. Looking forward to it. I see him out here and there rarely. Always a gentleman. Always takes a second.
He lives in Montana.
He looks like a guy that could have been Costner in Yellowstone.
He's a stand-up, which I'm sure we're
Oh,
going to
right.
talk about. He
I'm gonna
played
ask
the
him.
Punchline in San Francisco before he got into movies. So that's very interesting. And he hosted SNL twice. I was there the first one.
Oh, yeah?
It's very funny. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
So
I'm sure he's kicking himself for leaving stand-up and becoming a monster star. We'll ask him. Are you still kicking yourself about not playing fucking Uncle Fucker's Chuckle Hutch in Mississippi?
yeah, you could have played Sir Laughs a Lot
Yeah.
in Des Moines for a long
You could have done
an
an
extra show Saturday.
string of Gutbusters in Tuscaloosa.
Billy's Chuckle Hut in Missoula, Montana. Adding that fifth show, get the vomit off the floor and bring in the horses.
Funny Bone in Nova Scotia.
There is Funny Bones.
Yeah.
The funniest one I actually played was the Rib Tickler. The Rib
That's great.
Tickler
That's
in
great.
Minneapolis, Minnesota. Welcome to the Rib Tickler. Anyway, we've run out of steam, energy,
And Michael
thoughts.
Keaton. Here's Michael Keaton to pick up the pace.
I love a hat that makes no statement.
Absolutely, that's me, right down the middle. not committed to anything.
Because you don't want to go to an airport and have some funny phrase and funny T-shirt, so everyone has an excuse to go, "Hey, Michael Keaton."
Yeah. Yeah. But I'm looking at Spades. This is my favorite thing. I was hoping there was a Joe Dirt because I love Joe Dirt. There's a Joe Dirt hat, but on the other side, there's
there is.
Yeah, but there's also a bottle of Tums.
You fucking asshole.
Whoops. Yeah,
Not
he's
supposed to
sensitive.
be in frame. Everyone's fired.
Just chug it. Oh no, those are pills, right?
My set designer's fired. Set deck.
Uh-oh.
No, I'm trying to stay young. What else can I put here that sounds young? There's nothing.
Pepto-Bismol.
Everything's old.
Yeah.
Why am I far away?
I'm heavily medicated myself right now, so
Tums,
I'm feeling real.
so great.
I'm feeling real good.
I'll give Michael a compliment. Ready?
Yeah.
Okay,
And this
ready?
is- this
we
might
we
be
compliment. We embarrass our guests with compliments.
Oh,
Go
the
yeah.
ahead, Dave.
only this. No, this might be the only compliment.
I've got a few.
But at the Oscars, a great surprise bit and got a fucking laugh and
Yeah,
really out of the blue.
that was
Hysterical.
awesome. Can we see the face just on the Zoom? It was
true.
a very
Yeah, good one. I would have started laughing because it was out of nowhere. And then, do they tell you how far ahead do you know about this stuff? And do you ever practice? They just go, "This is going to be a thing. Play along or don't."
Wow, very good observation. No, I'll tell you what happened. How did this happen? You guys have probably done that or something like it. Then it's kind of horrible, really, because it's hard to go up there and, you've got X amount of seconds to make a thing work. And I wanted to do it because I love Catherine. She's a pal. So they go over everything, and wisely you rehearse it, actually. It's probably smart. And so when I left the rehearsal, because normally I'd go, no, it's a simple thing and we're going to be up and off. Let's not worry about it. But I was smart enough this time to say, I get it. You know where camera is, blah, blah, blah. So I went down to do it. And on the way home, I got a text from Kimmel or Molly or both his wife saying, hey, would you do this one thing? And I had planned to do the thing with Catherine, leave, and then go to one of the parties or something. So I thought, oh, shoot. Okay. And I thought, all right. And then he told me what the bit was. And I thought, oh, that could be kind of funny. And I don't know who that came from, frankly. I don't know if that was something Danny threw out because I saw him there. So anyway, they said, would you do it? And I said, sure. So then this is when show business is truly fun. And I'm sitting there. Boy, this is going to sound so obnoxious because I'm about to name drop my ass off.
love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Did you say get it out?
Yeah, purge.
Yeah. Purge.
Yeah.
It's funny. I'm sitting there, ready? And I'm talking literally to Al Pacino, and we're bullshitting and blah, blah, blah. And this guy, because they said, you present now at this point, and then about 40 minutes later or whatever, you come back for this segment or
Right. They pull you early and go, "You're on in an hour and a half. Let's get you backstage."
Yeah.
Yes, normally, right. So
Yeah,
not now. It's like this kid, really great kid, flustered out of his mind, comes over and goes, "You got to go." And I go, "Go where?" And he goes, and I go, "Wait for that thing." We're going to go. I go, "Shit." I go, "Okay, let's." Now he says, "Yes, now we're going to go see you coming out of a commercial or something." So I was smart enough to say, I think I brought along. I didn't want to just show up like you just saw me a few minutes ago. So I had this thing tied as an ascot to go full Bruce Wayne kind of thing. So I actually had a wardrobe change. So I said, I'm right in the back. There's a plastic thing and there's confusion. I thought, well, it won't work out. Don't worry about it. And all of a sudden it shows, like, put it on. And it's so fun because you're walking in and it's panic time. No, get over it. Where's the seat? And this poor kid is sweating bullets. And you're among all these movie stars and people, and there's mayhem and stuff, and you're thinking, man, I hope this works. And you're kind of pumped, because you go,
here we go.
you get that good nervous thing, like, oh, this would be funny if it works, I think.
Yeah.
And then, we discussed, like, what do we do? So anyway, so it was really fun because then you're sitting there, and I knew what I was going to do at that point. So you see the light go off, and I just locked in. But my first idea, I said, hey, what do you think of this? It's just fun to talk to you guys about this. I said, what do you think about this? Is this anything? First of all, they were right. They said, no, we think dead stare. And I went, yeah, probably right. Let's do it. But my first idea was, I wondered, like, they said, you might sit next to Paul Giamatti. And I said, all right, whomever. I'm just going to sit like this. And when they're up there, Danny and Arnold, and they do their thing, I'm just going to be bullshitting to somebody. Like, I'm not even paying attention to the fucking show. You're just talking about shit. And they just kind of look up, just kind of blow them off like this. But I think the dead stare was probably better.
You know, I don't mind a combo where you're talking and they say Batman's here and you go,
Yeah.
and then
Cool.
like, you just turn straight into him and
Yeah.
walk in and
Yeah.
they're like, oh shit.
Right.
But whatever you did worked.
Everyone's in on the joke at that moment. So the fact that you're holding it so straight,
Yeah, so long.
like you're
too.
internally laughing yourself,
Yes.
right? It was kind of in your brain. You're going, "This is fucking funny."
Yeah.
It's working.
And the way Danny led into it, they're talking. Hey, he's over there.
Yeah.
You know, it was such a great. The way he leaped on that was perfect,
Yeah.
and what you did was perfect. You stole the Oscars. I'm just saying.
No, another favorite part, Michael, is when you're hustling down the stairs, you know, and they're like 30 seconds. So we come back from the break and they're like, which seat is he? And they go to some seat full and go, get the fuck out of here. And they're like, that's Kate Blanchett. You're like, oh no, the one next to you, get out.
You can't ever.
That would have been really funny, right? Throw Kate out.
Yeah, get her out of here. We got a bit. But those unexpected bits are great. Spielberg giving points at himself, gets a huge laugh when she
Yeah.
said, I sent my nudes
It
to the
was
wrong
great.
person.
Yeah.
And he points. That got a good one. But those are kind of, I guess they got to be used sparingly because it's hard to beat them. Like those two.
No, I
were
understand
great
that.
ones.
When you're there, you can't kind of hear it on monitors, and I didn't really see it. And but it felt like it was when I glanced up at the screen backstage. I thought I filmed this is pretty good, and as I understand it, was actually a really good show. I saw bits and pieces later.
Okay.
It was.
Okay.
It
That's
was.
what you heard. Okay.
Whoever came up with the idea that the 5 nominees in the audience and then the
Yeah.
5 winners vet them one at a time, and it was so emotional. They had never done that before, right? It was fantastic. Yeah.
Interesting.
You guys would be able to do that. I think Jimmy's great at it. I mean, Crystal was great, man. I mean, but as you can imagine, you guys would know better than I actually. That's somewhat thankless. I don't mean to say that like, oh, fuck them, but it is hard. It's really, really, really hard. I would imagine,
Yes.
and the pressure is really on in a ridiculous way,
Right. And he's luckily
Yeah.
had all the people on his show usually, so they're giving him a break. Joe Coy had a came in with a deficit at the Golden Globes because they weren't as familiar and they were like, win us over. Like, we're stars. And there's a little of that. I think that's real. I would like to do it sometime. I don't know. I think the nerves would be so overwhelming. And Jimmy's very cool about it.
He's done it 4 times.
I think that's the exact thing. Yeah.
But I was there when Anthony Hopkins was up for Hannibal Lecter. And then so Billy comes out, he's wheeled out, he's got the Hannibal Lecter mask on. And then Billy would put himself in film montages. And then Billy was a song and dance man at heart. Titanic, it's going down, it's going down.
It's going down.
Yeah.
Titanic, it's going down.
I'm sinking. And it was just baggy pants, vaudevillian, and irresistibly entertaining. And someone like Jimmy is a monologist, and he's great at it. But that is a little more nerve-wracking. It's a high wire act. Here's a joke. Here's a joke. Here's a joke. That's nerve-wracking.
Broadway. I can't do it because I don't have the room here, but I used to do that thing, like how people in theater or in Broadway. First of all, a lot of Broadway tunes, if you throw the word "hey" into the front of it, it kind of it's "Hey people,"
Anything's funnier.
Hey, I'm all right. You're all right. Tonight.
Or even more vague. Hey, Christmas, you're coming around. Oh, are you talking to Christmas?
And then 10 people dress as Christmas trees. We're a tree, you're a tree. I love Broadway. What can I tell you?
And that's the attitude. You both clicked into the attitude. It's like, look out, world. Da, 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 da.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, as a kid, I was always thrown out by musicals. I wasn't, because they'd be talking in a movie, and then all of a sudden they'd be going, pass the butter today. We need butter. And I'm 7 years old going, what? You can do this? People just break out into songs?
Right. I remember I loved Westerns as a kid.
Okay, favorite one. We're fairly in the same
Lonely Are the Brave. Probably Kirk Douglas.
Adult or as a kid,
he
I
went
remember
off the
seeing The
board.
Sons of Katie Elder as a kid, and that was like cool. I saw it in the theater when I was like 7 or something. The Sons of Katie Elder.
I would watch. There were certain cowboys I just didn't relate to because they were too clean and neat and cute looking. And I remember watching one, and it was interesting because it was the West, but maybe in the 40s or something, which now I love. And a car pulled up, and I went, wait, whoa, hold on a minute. What's a car doing here?
In 1840.
Yeah. I bet you guys were like me when you watched movies or television shows. There were probably, my guess is you're similar. There were probably things that your little head kind of either couldn't wrap itself around or really got excited about that the average kid probably didn't. Do you know what I mean? Like there were certain shows when in grade school, my friends would do what was that guy? Colonel Klink or something that do Klink.
Hogan's Heroes. Schultz. I see nothing.
Yeah.
I see nothing. Yep, I remember that one.
Shows that I never, all the kids used to love that I never thought were funny. And I always thought, well, I'm the weird one then, but then the ones me and a couple of your buddies really thought were funny, it was like a small group. I'm sure you felt that way, that you had like one or two guys.
Oh, totally. And I had 3 older brothers. The whole house, my younger sister was just mad for movies. In those days, my sister loved Splendor in the Grass so much, and you couldn't VCR it. So we'd wait a year, and then the whole house belonged to Lori with the Splendor in the Grass with Warren Beatty, and she just did pretty. She just did pity. That's a reference to you. But I'm thinking the one for me that seemed the coolest, I was probably in junior high, was Get Smart.
Me too. That was like, you hit it right on the head. That was my favorite. You know what I think it was? And then there was a thing called, oh shoot, what was that show that I thought was really irreverent? I think it's the irreverent thing that we liked, you know, the making fun of or something, you know, but Get Smart was 100% right there. Yeah.
Well, what about Hogan's Heroes being like, I didn't even understand the theme. I didn't understand how heavy the theme was. And I just thought it was just goofy guys. But when you look at it, you go, wait, what was it about? I didn't know until 5 years ago. I didn't know. I was like, wait, what was it?
I know. Yeah, you know, here's a weird one. I never, as a kid, when my friends loved the Three Stooges, I went, well, I didn't believe it. I go, well, that people, here's how weird I was. I go, I'm not in on that. It's silly. It's not like, I don't get it. You know, I guess
I know where you're going with this.
Yes.
Yep.
And as I got older, it fucking kills me. Now I look at it and I go, look at these men. Like there's always that scene where there was a woman who played the role all the time of the kind of matronly type. And they would say, the scene would be them saying, well, Mrs. Holloway or something, you know, and she'd say, now you 3 boys behave yourselves, you know, while you house sit for my home. Yeah, and watch after my daughters or something like that.
Yeah.
Just to look at these guys, and she played, now listen, fellas, you behave yourselves, you know.
These are the 3 idiots they hire off of Craigslist, these 3 guys. And they can't do anything.
Commit manslaughter toward each other. You know, they get a crowbar, bang, you know. Now go over there and shave the ice, you know, and then he has shaving cream on the ice and he's shaving the ice.
That's right. Giving orders. Some amazing
Shave the ice.
Now work on those rocket ships. You two, you know.
They always come back. The boss comes in 5 minutes later. How's things coming along? Well, what have you done here? It's like, you botched the job.
Right. I love them more now. They're more acid humor now.
Me too.
I was Abbott and Costello then, not so much the Three Stooges. Now Three Stooges. It's so avant-garde.
I am so with you. But I always did. I did like Abbott and Costello kind of, and I kind of liked. I kind of got that. I don't know what
meets Frankenstein. Meets Frankenstein because in the day the monsters were the monsters of the day. You know, Bela Lugosi and so that was sort of, depending on how old you were, a little bit scary. But how funny, because they in their script they just go A and B ad libs. I mean, the scripts would come out. I know Bobby Slayton, this comedian, famous comedian, owns one of the original scripts of Costello Meets Frankenstein, and it's just A and B ad libs. So you could tell when he comes in, what are you scared of? What'd you see? When he sees someone come out of the coffin, and then the straight man comes in. It's such great. It pops, you know.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah, I would love to own one of those. That'd be very cool to have one of those.
Is it a money
I
thing?
was never afraid of scary things. Things that scared kids never scared me, and I didn't. I went. I know there's no Godzilla. You know, I just know there isn't. I'm such a drag when I think about it. You know, but when I said my friend, here's a great one. You know, I was raised Catholic, and I was an altar boy. And we were very Catholic and everything. And when The Exorcist came out, I have a friend. In fact, I'm going to see him and visit him because he's an old pal, and he's a real wise guy. You know, like say, you know, he'd make a comment. And he's a poet, actually, writes beautiful poetry, but he'd like make fun of shit, you know, and be a wise ass all the time. He told me, so he didn't respect anything really. He was really, you know, irreverent. He went to see The Exorcist. It gets to the point where I don't know. At some point, he gets up and leaves and goes right next door to a bar and like starts drinking whiskey. He was so frightened. It just scared the fuck out of him.
There's not a chance.
Scared the fuck out of me because I didn't even, my friends, high school buddies, oh, let's go in. It's called The Oxorcist or Exorcist, whatever. We come in late. We're in the third row. We don't even know what it is. And it scared the fuck out of us.
Oh, my God.
And then I went home. My parents were in Montana. No one was around. I'm staying in this track home. I go in the door and we had this little dog and it's at the top of the stairs and it's pitch black and it's going, I mean,
the dog's a devil. My brother.
Yeah, the dog was a devil.
My brother saw it, and I was shitting bricks just hearing it in secondhand, and I've still never seen it. It was too scary.
I'm with you. Yeah.
People wish they hadn't. People go,
Don't
I wish
see
it's
it.
not in my head. There's some things you just don't want rattling around in there. And when they go, it's based on a real story, then I'm out. I don't, though this can happen. Nope.
Okay, let's move to like coolest guy.
No, wait. I have a question about the Oscars day, and I have
movies.
one last about Oscars.
That's right. We got to get back to the guy who stole the show.
Yeah. Okay, ready? Listen to this, Michael.
Yeah.
My advice to you. So you're at the Oscars. So what you probably do is you're there next to like, you know, Margot Robbie or something. And then when they hand the Oscar to someone, you just casually go, oof, those are heavy. And then that denotes that you have won you know, it's just the thing I would do.
Yeah, that's really smart. Yeah,
Mhm.
like just this really low thing. Like,
Yeah, heavier than you think. You got to use your traps a little bit and some lats. And then also, was there anyone there? Oh wait,
I want to ask a question.
yeah, go ahead.
Was there anyone backstage who saw this guy and you just, for some reason, it popped in your head? I'd like to fucking smash that guy in the face. It's just a random thought. You wouldn't act on it, but like that guy has a punchable face.
no, I would. Yeah, several. No, nobody.
Yeah.
Nobody.
Was
Catherine
there anyone
O'Hara, by the way.
Oh, I love Catherine
sorry.
O'Hara. Go ahead, Dave.
I just want to compliment loving her so much as a performer and a person. And I ran into her at this J.J. Abrams event. I barely get out of the house, but I was there. And we're just kidding around. I said, who makes a move in their 60s? I mean, really, this is a few years back. Who makes a move in their 60s? Nobody makes a move in their 60s in show business. And she says, Marty. And then Marty does the thing with Steve Martin, but that she was the one making the move with the half-hour show. What was it called? Schitt's Creek.
Oh yeah.
She went, blue.
Well,
Yeah.
I've loved her
But-
forever, and she's kind of a pal, you know. But not kind of a pal. She's a friend of mine. So,
Well, she's if you meet her for 3 minutes, you want to be her best friend. I mean, it's like
exactly, and she's the nicest girl, best girl. You know, we have a big family too, and we had, you know, we have similar. You know, my mom Irish, not from Ireland, but so we had a big, you know, that whole thing in our background. But her family, I remember meeting them years ago, and she's just so great. I did this little movie, and I asked if she'd play my wife in this little movie. Griffin Dunn and Amy Robinson, his producing partner, had this little deal for a while where they were doing really small independent movies, and there was a Don DeLillo book called Game 6, and I did it with them. You know, shot it for, I mean, nothing. I think honestly, I'm not kidding. I think it might have been like $600,000 or something like that. And so besides Beetlejuice, I got her to play my wife in this movie. She's great, and that's one reason I wanted to present when it was with her.
Perfect.
Oh, everyone knew. I mean, that are Beetlejuice fans. Like, there they are. We all know the movie's coming out in September. So that's one thing about you. Like, I know you did the Flash. You got in the Batman outfit 30 years later, and I guess it fit. So I'd like to know why and how do you manage your weight? Are you on Ozempic? I mean, what is like you could play? You're the same size person. You're pretty fit. So you play Batman 30 years apart.
Yeah, I did. I was kind of half brag. I mean, I was kind of bragging about it, really, but I was making a joke out of it. But I was pretty proud of myself because I thought there's no way this is going to work. Fit right back in, and I thought, wow, I'm a dude. Look at me. But you know what I've learned, like a dope on the first one. I thought I better get fit for this thing because we didn't know if the whole idea of the suit, that was that really was the day before my shot in that suit. It hadn't been ready. It wasn't ready yet. So I didn't know how I saw images, never knew but how is this actually physically going to work? Right.
Can you move? Yeah.
I thought, I'm being real actory and everything. And I thought I better be fit for this thing. Never thinking, well, what's the point? I was working on a bag and Nicholson walks by me and he goes, "What are you doing?" And I go, sweating, being real groovy, going, working out, something like that. He goes, "What are you doing that for?" And he just walked out the door.
There's no reason to work out because you're not going tits up. The suit stays on. That was later with Christian Bale was shirtless and did 50 push-ups.
There's no scene that I can recall like that where I'm shirtless or something. But also what I've learned how stupid I was, it's actually easier there's more room to move inside if you're smaller.
Yeah.
So what's the point? I've told the story, but you guys will find this funny. We didn't know if the thing would work, and then it was a whole thing. Geez, how do you light it, and how do you even move in it? Blah blah blah. I'm not going to bore you with how, all that. But there was one of the first shots. We're still putting this thing together and go, okay, wait, can you even move? And and I can move, but I can't sit or whatever. There's a shot where I'm trying to act real cool, and I turn like this. The reason this whole motion started with, I'm supposed to turn, something happens, some bad guy comes out or something. I remember his long shot. I turn to look at him, lights real cool. And as I turn I turn this way, and this thing, part of the suit goes, it just goes like, whoop, and the suit like opened up.
Oh,
so it's off your face.
Yes. Yeah, because we hadn't figured out how to make it, how to get that whole thing yet. We're all constantly pasting and sticking it. So that's where all that stuff came from. I thought, well, fuck, it's really easier to go like this and the thing won't pop like that.
Yeah, and you're so tight. Yeah,
a specific mouth that you would do, right? I mean, when the first Batman came out, just sort of the way you made your mouth when you were in the suit.
Way more credit than I deserve. I just got to put her on.
This is what I would go with. And it'd scare them a little bit. They'd be like, what is that, Captain Curious? I'm like this. You can't see it on Zoom, and it's so good.
Captain Curious.
What made you guys say, instead of doing, like, either of you could just do your own, but you said, no, we should probably double up here and do this, which for me is a good idea, but I don't know anything about this.
Yeah, I would say known Dana since right before SNL, was a big fan of his, and got on SNL where I was pretty much his understudy, and then and we can't really compete with Dana out there, but Dana did a great job. I left. I would see him here and there, and then I started seeing him more because he lived close by the last couple of years. And we talked a lot about the stuff, and we'd always talk about SNL and just whatever. And I kind of wanted to do one of these, and then I thought I wanted to team up with someone that's funny, that can share. And then also he has his own people that love him, and just sort of a wider net. And then it's more fun, and it's easier to talk. And Dana's a smart dude.
Such a good idea. It's so smart. That's interesting. You were not. What do you mean an understudy?
Well, Dana was doing so well, but he might not have been there forever. You have your shelf life, and then Lauren, I sort of looked like him and just coincidentally was a little like him. But I wasn't like a big impressionist. And then Lauren, I think, to Dana was playing a little like, we got this guy right here.
Oh, Lauren would say, because David would sit behind me and read through, you know, and I look over and Lauren, David's always on deck. He'll always be ready if anything happens, if maybe not going to do it, if that catchphrase starts to fade away.
We own it.
David will be right there. And by the way, he has tried on the church lady dress, and it fits like a fucking glove. Michael Keaton is here. It's you as a host at the Monday meeting. Michael Keaton is here. He's our favorite freaky dude. But also, we have the same manager, David and I, about getting put together. And then podcasts became all the thing. First, they were just sort of fun.
I don't even have a manager.
And then there was like, you don't have a manager?
You've been paying him for 22 years, Mike.
Now, we should talk about a little project at some point. Your Knox goes away.
Yeah, I directed this movie. It's good, but mostly what's good about it is the cast is pretty damn good. It was Pacino and James Harden, Marcia Gay Harden. It's just really Susie Nakamura. You know, I wanted somebody funny in there. She's real
James
fun.
Marsden.
James Marsden is.
James Marsden's from Jury. I just saw him in Jury Duty, right? Is that
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, we should talk about the show. So this movie. So like that, you know, I directed before, and this was something I wanted to do, but it was not like I must tell the story. I've been dreaming of this story for years. There was a script that came that was really well written. Kind of sat around the house for a while. You know, I was offered it as an actor, and then went off and did something, came back, picked it up, did something else, came back, and I didn't think anyone was really interested before and then anymore. And they would call me and say, "Hey, what do you think of this? The writer would like to know finally." And I don't blame the guy. And I said, "Yeah, let me read it one more time. I think this is pretty good." And then I said, "You know, the only way I want to do this is if I can direct it too." So we started doing it. You know how it works. There was like 24 or 5 days to shoot it. I got this really good cast together, and it's pretty good.
Oh, it's cool. I saw the trailer. It's very cool. It's very interesting. I did not know you directed it. Can you hear that? I did not know you directed it, and now it's even more props to you because right away it's a very interesting story. Could you tell a little bit about it, just so people know?
I'm not good at this. Yeah, here's the setup. Contract killer.
I'll tell you where you're right and wrong.
Thank you.
We'll fill in the blanks.
Yeah.
I could say it really fast.
Please.
I think it has an incredible hook. If you could call it a hook,
And
but
if you guys could travel with me while I sell this thing and just pitch in. This guy is a contract killer, hitman if you want, but it's not really a hitman movie at all, actually. So he's got this form of dementia called Creutzfeldt Jakob, which is also a good name for a comedy team. Now that I hear Mike,
or a forward in the NBA.
That's right. Another Eastern Europe
From Lithuania, Krzysztof Rotrop.
Another Eastern European, and it's an actual disease, and it goes fast. Once you're diagnosed, there's not much time. And James Marsden plays my kid, and out of the blue, I get this news that I've got it. So you got the ticking clock thing, and out of nowhere, it's a great shot, by the way. I'm very proud of it. I hear something at the door. I start to slowly walk out the door. A really beautiful shot comes down, and the door swings open, and you see Marsden there, who is unbelievably good in this movie. Like his hands wrapped, sweating bullets, emotional, kind of crying. And I go, "Who the fuck is this guy?" And it turns out he's my son. And so he comes back to, he's in big trouble. And so it's this thing of me trying to pull this deal off. I'm speaking in a way where I don't chip too much of it, trying to pull this deal off with Marsden's character before I'm totally gone. So I progressively get worse as I try to basically get him out of the jam, to put it mildly. And Marsden, I keep saying this, and I need to stop saying it. I go, wait till people see James Marsden in this. They're gonna be knocked out. truth is, I don't think actors will be. I think people will go, yeah, I knew the guy could do it. I've seen a lot of his stuff, and it's harder for some of those handsome boys, to break through that thing. And
Well,
Oh, I know.
Dead to Me. Well, he was so brilliant in Dead to Me. Amazing. And I think that what I love about this, and it must have been interesting, a challenge for you, is you take a guy who's a hitman, and he's a badass. He's got his wits. It's that's the way I see it. And then slowly but surely, it's like Superman having a little bit of kryptonite in his spandex. Slowly but surely, he's losing his superpower. And so, and there's a race against time. Is that kind of the engine of it? And you had to play this little demented, little more demented, little more demented.
Shot everything out of order, especially when you only have 24 days. No luxury to say, well, we need to shoot in order. So I was always checking. And here's what I wouldn't do again. I actually like directing myself. I've done it twice now, and 3 times when I did the Letterman thing, the Letterman Film Festival, which you guys I'm sure have seen. But you save a lot of time. But the problem, what I wouldn't do this again. I wouldn't play the lead this hard, this complex, where you go, wait, where am I now? What am I doing now? How bad off am I? It's like when I did Multiplicity. That's a show in and of itself we should do, because making that was insane and so much fun. But you'll appreciate this. Sorry to go off. I really should be selling this movie better.
Five characters. 5 or
was there
how
more?
many? 10?
And I didn't want to do the fat suit thing or the change the makeup thing. Like, wow, now he's got a big nose. I wanted to do, if he's just off a little, except for the one guy who goes totally off. And I totally stole from Jerry Lewis on that. But if you go off a little, he's just off a little bit, but how we would do it, you're the perfect 2 people to talk to about this. There'd be a ping pong ball and a stand, a light stand or something, and you're off it. And then we hired a couple of these young actors who were great if I needed something to bounce off of. But while I was doing it, if I was like, let's say I was playing 3, who was the real sensitive guy, I'd think of an idea, knowing I'm going to be around the other side talking to one of my other guys, and I go, oh, so I'd have to set myself up ahead of time. So in the script,
to react on the other side.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you're thinking, and then you go, wait,
do.
we might not shoot that for a week. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So I'm going, whoa, man, I got to remember that thing. How did I do that? Or I'd make a note or something. Did you guys work? Are you a writer downer? Like Chris Rock is so unbelievably organized. His work ethic is so good, I think, from what I know of him. But I was listening to Bill Burr talk the other day. He says, I don't do that at all. I just I see something. I don't really go over it in my head. I don't want to write it. I know it. I get up on stage and I just start doing it.
No, not me. Yeah, I write down a lot, and I have to remember inflections. And now I'm gotten to the point where I audio record it because of inflections and a different way to deliver it, so I can remember. And Dana,
for me personally, I think that the style I like to do was really best in small clubs, and the club that made me was San Francisco, in the Haight-Ashbury, the other cafe. Because you're playing honky tonk bars and the blender's going, show us your dick, that kind of stuff. But for me, a small room where I'm coming onto this stuff is the most exhilarating. I get the redundancy of stand up word for word gets really hard for me. So I try to deconstruct it. I try to make myself laugh. I try to surprise myself. But if it is like 2,000 or 3,000 people, I lose a lot. So if I did another stand-up special, I'd want to do it in a really small room, 30 seats, 40 seats. That'd be the best.
Truly. Wow.
I remember when you were headlining the Punchline. They said this guy, Marco Clotton, they never got your name. Marco Clotton is playing the Punchline. Marco Clotton, who's he? But you were a really great stand-up. I mean, you were a headliner. And
well, not as good as you guys, because people don't know how hard it is to get to where you guys are, to get that good, how much work there is, and how difficult it is. No one really appreciates. I was on a movie once a long time ago, and this guy goes, we're talking about stand-up or something. And he's an actor, not a famous actor, just some guy playing, and he's talking, and I never forget, since he said it like this. He said, he said, yeah, I never did stand up. I didn't say anything, but I thought, dude, you have no fucking idea how hard it is to get to the level. You don't even like. Yeah, I probably could have done it if I wanted. And then I
They don't
punched him.
understand
And that
because
guy
they're
did
funny at the Christmas party.
Yeah.
And then they don't know to be funny on demand when you have a migraine and you just bit your tongue and you're so bored and you're tired. And then you got to go out and dismantle the room. That takes a long time.
And you remember when there were like 11 stand-ups? Now there's 11 in my house somewhere. I'm going to the fucking garage.
Well, you influencers go out, young women or men, and they do the 2 minutes. They put it on
post
YouTube,
it,
and then they try to put them at the Chuckle Hut in Fresno, and they're going to do an hour, and it doesn't work.
Like people now in comedy, don't you think? And really good stand-ups, like really, really a lot. You would think that couldn't happen, just the numbers wouldn't work, but there are. There really are.
People are getting good at it.
Yeah.
Michael, is this I think I've asked you this just out in the world, but was one of your jokes, what if it's bad and I say it's you, but I like it, where you say, I landed in Minnesota and it was 3 degrees. I was like, why be any?
I actually landed somewhere today. It was 1 degree. One. And I said, why have any?
I say that so much. I try to attribute it to you. Sometimes it slips my mind. But overall,
wait a minute. I had a joke like that, or it wasn't near as good. But how did people reminisce in the year 2? God, remember early 1?
Right.
Let's go back to those days.
Yeah, I used to say,
kind of joke.
I was shitty at jokes though. I never really told jokes really well.
You were a rhythm actor guy. You know, you did that. You did the gangster guy, which Lovett said it was you later on, but whatever. But I know that you did that kind of, that's the guy. That's the ticket, right? You did characters, attitudes.
30s line. I remember writing down, go 30 in old movies, got a guy's line. Poor guy. Everybody was beaten up over that. I thought, please let this man off the hook. The thing he does is probably his own thing. I had no idea. Anyway, I should be probably selling my movie more. I'm sorry I'm bad at this, but it's really good. I hope everybody goes. I'd love talking to you guys about this stuff.
Well, by the way, selling it, I think you've sold this hook, because when I saw the trailer, I don't want to know anything else. I'm just like, I'm already in. Like, I don't want to know all the tricks, because you'll start to figure it out maybe. But also, I ran into Mila Kunis 2 nights ago. Are you doing something with Mila?
It's actually a comedy. It's not hard comedy. She's a really nice woman. And Hallie Myers, who's Nancy Myers' daughter, wrote it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it's this really nice little movie. It's softish, very kind of emotional but sweet, and it's really good. This woman, Hallie, is so interesting. She's really smart, and she so loves comedy, and she's very old school. She loves old classic movies, and she's young. I mean, she's in her 30s, I think. And here's what's really funny. I was actually talking with Marty Short. I was at her mom's party once. I don't go to a lot of parties, but I was at her mom's party once, right up the road here one time. And she said, come here, I want you to meet my daughter. And she was like a teenager. And so she, this kid was like 14, 15 years old at the time. And she was a massive fan. Like, she knew everything I did. And she was shy and everything. And she said, no, she said, this girl's like your number one fan. She's like a little kid. And then she ended up directing, which is kind of cool.
And then you get to be in something with her. Yeah. And Nancy, who was one of the best ever.
Of that genre, did she do, what's the Diane Keaton movie with Sam Shepard? She goes out in the country. Sorry. Do we have a winner? But I think it was a Nancy Myers. She makes pretty movies that were just so irresistible. Yeah.
Oh, so many.
Mama, baby, something. I can't. My wife's not here. Anyway, here's a question I have for you. It might be a non sequitur. How much, if they could do a movie with AI where they would make a virtual you, but you didn't have to be in it, how much would they have to pay you for you to give them permission?
Whole lot. And you know what?
A whole lot.
A guy I know who was way ahead of this years ago. In fact, another friend of mine, I'm going to see him here in a couple of days, hit me to this so long ago, said, here's what's going to happen. And he totally called it. And this was like, I'm telling you, he said this to me 20 years. I'll bet you 20 years or more.
Wow.
So scale plus 10. I had another thing for Michael. I know we're grading his nerves, but it's almost over. When I just rewatched, actually just asked Adam about the Farley bit
The
where you beat the
famous
shit out of him. So
Grandma
fucking
and a boy, whatever, you and Chris and Adam, and
Yeah,
the
what is
dress
that?
rehearsal is on YouTube, which is next level. But also the way you beat the shit out of Farley and the way Farley would throw his body around. That sketch, watch it this morning. It is irresistibly funny. And talk about Three Stooges. You're grabbing his nose at one point. Was that your idea? Like,
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things I ever did. I've never been good on that show particularly. There are a couple shots here and there, but I was never really very good on it. Really, I don't think. But that was so fun, and that group of you guys was really fun. Nice, welcoming group of guys. But I would tell you this, not to get that Spade. Well, first of all, you guys make me so fucking happy when I watch you. You make me laugh so hard. I thought, how great is it that I get to hang out and talk to these guys? Because I don't see you in life that often. I run to Spade down there. And all you guys have done, I mean, honestly, Dana, you make me laugh so fucking hard. It's crazy. And Spade, you did something one time. Everybody goes through some up and down stuff, right? And I was in not a great spot, right? 1, 2, 1 row, up, and a happy guy there for a minute. And my wonderful older sister who passed away came out. She was hanging out with me because she was feeling bad for me. And she said, let's go to the movies. She talked me into going to the movies. I said, I don't know. I wasn't moping. I'm not a moper. I was like, no, let's go. Yeah, it's kind of like keeping it all into my unhealthy self. and I said, all right, let's go see fucking Tommy Boy. Man, it's hard to get funnier than that. Right? Don't you think?
Oh yeah. I mean,
I think in its own world, it's a perfect movie.
And I thought, man, how lucky am I? So that picked me up for about an hour. After that, I was pretty much back down.
Well, when you have a 40-year career, I don't know when your first movie, like 81, 82. Ron Howard, by the way, what's the deal with that guy? I mean, come on. No.
Such an asshole.
The Dalai Lama decided to be a director. That's the way I describe Ron Howard's vibe. But when you have a 45-year career, you have to have some dips. Even Jimmy Stewart and Henry Fonda did sitcoms in the early 70s.
I just was I wasn't career-wise. I don't really think of
it's just
things.
A bad mental place.
Yeah,
Dana.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't think I was never like a career guy, except that I'm a shitty card player and horrible. Like I don't even know how to play. I don't know how to gamble. Really, I can play blackjack because that's not too hard to understand. But I'm horrible. But with me, like taking risks and stuff, never even thought about it. Don't even think about it. I go, yeah, I'll take a shot.
Never
at that.
look back.
Yeah. Which is stupid, basically. But I always gambled on myself, so I never looked at like, oh boy, this is not. I mean, I'm not nuts. I look at something and hope it really does well, or sometimes you do it because I could financially really do well here if this does well, or I haven't. But mostly it was about, wow, I never did that, or I wonder if I could do that, or that's pretty interesting. I really miss doing a comedy. That I miss a lot, but it's just hard to find one that's really funny. Well,
I think that people from afar feel that about you. Like you're not like a celebrity, and that's different than being a great, funny, dramatic actor with a career. There's no sense, And when I'm looking at your Wikipedia page, you go, oh, that movie.
Yeah.
Oh, and then you did that, and then you've got Dope Sick, and you get the Emmy for that, and it's been remarkably consistent now that you see it and varied. But I want to ask you this one question. There is, in my mind, what I call a sleeper movie. It's not necessarily a blockbuster. A sleeper movie is when your friends are coming over, relatives, and you go, let's put on a movie. Have you ever seen this movie? And they're going to like it. And you have a sleeper movie. Every time I've said to someone, we're looking for something to watch tonight, and it's an easy movie to watch, I go, watch The Founder. You knew it?
You knew he was going to say it.
Every time they go, oh my God, The Founder. And even recently in the last few months, thank you. It's so good. You get to learn all about McDonald's. It's a true story.
I'm gonna watch.
And you are, I assume you would feel it like just so in the pocket. You're like the guy, and that the fact they got you to play Ray Kroc, it's the kind of thing where you go, nah, no one else could have played it as good as Keaton in that particular part. And I say the same thing to Owen Wilson. His sleeper movie, but maybe it's a little more high profile, is Midnight in Paris, especially with women. I mean, just if you have not seen Midnight in Paris, watch that movie. But The Founder is yours.
Yeah, I really like that movie. Proud of it. And that was Harvey Weinstein totally burying it because he was caught up, and this before he was exposed and all that. But he kind of downplayed it, and people were screaming at him, angry. Some of the executives, he wasn't pushing it enough, and I remember everybody getting excited about it. I said, "Let me tell you, you can say it to his face because Billy Bob Thornton did this. Billy Bob Thornton once directly said to him, called him every name right to his face. You pig, you liar, you thing, you're this. And I said, you can say anything you want to this guy. Trust me when I tell you. There's no, he'll just look at you and go, hey, want to grab some lunch? He could not care less. He could not care less. I swear to you. So I said, he ain't going to do anything if he doesn't want to do it. I never cared for it personally, but I said, don't get excited about it. This is it.
Whatever happened to that guy, Harvey Weinstein? Whatever happened?
He's got he's got a deli, I think.
Michael, I would never compare careers, but I've done movies, and the sort of Dana put it in a nice way because it's a great movie. But when people say one's about me, they go, the one I actually liked. And then I go, that you can stop there. I don't want to.
Yeah, no, I don't want to. Like some guy came up to me. One guy once said to me, "Hey, I really enthusiastically too. Hey, I really like some of your movies."
That's pretty good.
What are they?
I'll take that. Doing? Actually, you shouldn't take that. I'll take it. Yeah, and I appreciate you saying that about Tommy Boy because, like you in that sketch that you did, and you on the show, I think you did one called Darty Eyes too, maybe. But when you get that close to the Farley and in the pocket like that, it's just so fucking fun. It was just a gift. And you got to do it too. It's so fun.
And you really, I don't want to repeat myself, but you just beat the hell out of it. But,
it made it even funnier. And Farley loves that. Hit me harder, Michael.
Come on. Yeah, right. There's no harder.
Yeah. Which, could be examined. Shrinks, I'm sure.
And that was like a Three Stooges sketch in the sense you're coming out. What's going on? What the hell's going on here? And then you just beat the shit out of Farley. Go back in the room. Then you come in the G-string with the leopard G-string. What the hell's going on here?
It's called Bobby Watches Grandma on YouTube.
It's
Michael. Thank you. You're a stud, and I'm looking for both movies. And Beetlejuice, of course, in September.
Yeah, get a meal after. All right, fellas. Thank you very much.
We enjoyed it.
See you.
Take care,
buddy.
Michael.